This is not about a sudden desire to secure our border. This is about politics. We have Democrat leaders in cities like New York and in LA who are complaining now to President Biden, and his poll numbers are dropping. So this action, this decision is simply political theater by the Biden-Harris administration trying to fool us, trying to fool the American people into thinking that after years of them denying that there's even a problem at the border.
Hey, what's up, folks? We have a great show for you today. Tulsi Gabbard spoke the truth about how Joe Biden failed at the border, and now they're trying to pretend like they have a reasonable border policy just for the election. We're gonna watch that full clip because I believe it's true, regardless who the messenger is. And then I wanna go over Ann Coulter on PBD podcast because she said something interesting.
Okay, here's our re-election plan for Joe Biden. Trick Republicans into nominating Donald Trump. Yeah. And man, did Republicans fall for it. Yep. Oh, they're easy to roll.
She thinks that Democrats elevated Trump with the Alvin Bragg arrest to help him win the Republican primary because they thought he was an easier person for Biden to beat. I've thought this for months now before she said it, and I actually have proof of how that exact arrest was absolutely what shifted many influencers and many Republicans from saying, DeSantis is our guy, Trump shouldn't run, to we have to go with Trump because the revenge narrative is too strong. It's very interesting stuff. I'm going to show proof as always, and I think if you watch, you'll be very interested in what I have to show. God bless you guys. Dream Rare Podcast starts now. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of the Dream Rare Podcast. I have a few stories I want to talk about, and I really have a compilation of proof. Sometimes I'm just talking and I don't know that I'm showing people exactly what I mean. So today I did a lot of research, a lot of work to really try to walk you through and explain what I'm talking about. But first, I do want to put a lot of the focus and the blame on the Biden administration for obvious reasons. For years, Democrat media, liberal media, Joe Biden, his administration, and the left gaslit us into thinking that the border was not a big deal. But now that it's becoming such a massive problem, millions of people pouring across from 100 plus countries, New York City's freaking out. Eric Adams doesn't know what to do because this whole city's falling apart. Now they're trying to gaslight you into thinking that they care. But I want to take it to Tulsi Gabbard, who had a flawless 2 minutes explaining how Joe Biden is full of crap. And regardless who the messenger is, if something's good, if it's real, if it's authentic, I share it. And I think that regardless of what you think of Tulsi Gabbard, this is a great 2 minutes where she's just hammering the truth and it's worth listening to. Let's take a look.
I want to take you on a walk down memory lane here for a second. If you remember when President Biden first took office, one of the very first things he did was to stop all construction on the 200 plus miles of the border wall that President Trump had started constructing while he was in office. Well, now fast forward to where we are now, 3 years later after the Biden administration's disastrous open border policies, we have unprecedented numbers of people coming into our country illegally. Now, 3 years later, the Biden administration is claiming, hey, we have no choice but to waive 26 federal laws so that they can go and build 26 miles of the border wall in South Texas. This is such a joke. First of all, this is way too little, way too late. It's not going to do anything to stop this continuous flow of illegal immigrants flooding across our entire border. Now, second, let's be clear. This is not about a sudden desire to secure our border. This is about politics. We have Democrat leaders in cities like New York and in LA who are complaining now to President Biden, and his poll numbers are dropping. So this action, this decision is simply political theater by the Biden-Harris administration trying to fool us, trying to fool the American people into thinking that after years of them denying that there's even a problem at the border, saying over and over, President Biden saying, I will never build a wall on the border. With him, Kamala Harris, Secretary Mayorkas, all of them repeating over and over to Congress and to the American people, the border is secure. Now, all of a sudden, they want us to believe, well, it's actually not secure, which we know is true. And now, all of a sudden, they are committed to securing our border. Give me a break. We, the American people, are not that stupid, and we're not buying what they're selling.
Say what you want. I mean, I like Tulsi Gabbard. I know, people don't trust her, and a lot of people wouldn't vote for her. But to me, that seemed like a pretty genuine message, and I totally agree with it. I mean, I think she's right. I think that Biden and Democrats are kind of scrambling because not only is the border messed up, not only is it starting to affect their states, not only is it seeping into New York City, not only is it probably affecting their election poll numbers, but they're completely overwhelmed. And now they're trying to gaslight everybody into thinking like, oh, we still don't want to build a wall, but I don't know what's going on. It's just total BS. So I like that she's calling it out. A lot of people are, including Elon Musk now. And I hope that people realize if you actually care about border security, I'm not saying Republicans are going to get the job done. I think they failed to the last term, but at the same time, it's a no-brainer. The Democrats will lie about it, and the Republicans at least try to get something done. So don't let the Democrats gaslight you into thinking that they care about the border now or that they're going to do something. I agree with her. They're just doing it for the election, scrambling to, get votes and try to act like they're a serious party when they're clearly not. So thank you for that. Second story I want to talk about, Ann Coulter went on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, and maybe at the end I'll talk about more of it because I listened to a lot of it. I thought she made a lot of decent points, and her and Patrick disagreed on some stuff, but that's healthy. I like Patrick a lot. And I've never really been a fan of, but I have to say that Ann Coulter was one of the first Trump supporters. She wrote a book about it. Everybody thought she was crazy. Like when it came to when nobody believed in Trump, like at the very beginning, Ann Coulter absolutely was there. And if you like Trump, regardless of what you think, she was there. She supported him when no one had his back. And she's making a lot of sense in this clip. She's saying something that I've thought for a long time. And I'm going to show you proof and stuff throughout this episode to kind of show you how I'm thinking, so you just don't think I'm thinking it randomly. Like I have a reason for why I think this, but here's Ann Coulter saying that she thinks that the Democrats purposely did the Alvin Bragg arrest to elevate Trump as a campaign re-election strategy. Sounds crazy to some, but I'm going to show you why I agree with her completely here.
The day after the Alvin Bragg absurd indictment in New York, Trump was dead in the water before that. Nobody showed up at his announcement speech. Fox cut away from it. It was a bore. He was collapsing in the polls. But the smart Democrats, I'll admit, on MSNBC, they genuinely hate him.
Yeah, big time.
But that dovetails with the smart Democrats like David Axelrod sitting back and saying, okay, here's our re-election plan for Joe Biden. Trick Republicans into nominating Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And man, did Republicans fall for it. Yeah. Oh, they're easy to roll. And they keep doing this because every time they do it,
All right, so before I kind of explain that, I know that's going to tick a lot of people off. Some people agree. Let's listen to the second clip because she makes a good point in the second clip. She says, Democrats constantly attack Trump from the stupidest, craziest angles possible that it almost makes everybody defend Donald Trump. And that happened to me for years too, where I'm constantly defending the guy because the Democrats are lying about him. And I'm an ethical person. I believe in the truth. I'm not here to like lie to people or do bad stuff. So I'm like, I got to defend Trump. I got to defend Trump. And now that I start to think about it, it's like, yeah, the Democrats do constantly do crazy stuff that kind of forces your hand to get behind them. And I know this is true because lots of people got behind Trump because of what the Democrats did. So let's watch this clip.
I kept finding myself at cocktail parties arguing with New York Times reporters, telling them, drop the Russia stuff. It's stupid. This is what you should be attacking him for. There's loads to attack him for. Why are you doing things that you force me to defend him? And that's what they do. They force people like me, and I don't want to defend the man, to defend him by these utterly preposterous indictments. The only one that's at all legit, and it's legit, but should he go to prison for it, is the Florida Mar-a-Lago one. If somebody, and little word to the wise, if you get a subpoena from a DA's office or federal prosecutor's office, you have to comply.
Of course.
So I understand Ann Coulter is not the most likable character, but the essence of what she said, basically saying that she thinks that Democrats purposely indicted Donald Trump in New York to get Republicans to back him in order to, win the election. I want to just walk you through why I actually believe that that's true. And I'm going to get to some comments that people sent me, some influencers, what they said before Trump got arrested, and also just polls that were out, not like fake like polls that they ask 800 people. I'm talking about like conservative influencers polling their audience, just seeing the shift. I'm not saying it's official, but it does show something. So let's just take a look at this. This is a really true statement that somebody left me on Twitter. They said to me, they added me and they said, back in February when Trump said the jab saved millions of lives, I was done with Trump. But Bragg and combo of the House raid, they pushed me back on the Trump train. I'd say part of my support for him is based on revenge, right? I agree with this statement completely. This person says, I was off the Trump train. He was, lying about the vaccine too much. It was annoying me. But when they indicted him with Alvin Bragg and they raided his house, I got right back on the Trump train. This is true with a lot of influencers. I'm going to look at a couple tweets from Tim Pool and Mike Cernovich. I want to just be honest. Tim Pool, I'm not a fan of. I don't like Tim Pool, but he does make some good points sometimes. And Mike Cernovich has always been nice to me. Mike Cernovich used to share my stuff on Twitter before anybody did. So this is not an attack on him as a person. He's always been really nice to me, and I do value that. I like to be somebody that remembers people who did nice stuff for me before anyone did. And he was definitely one of the first people who would share my stuff on Twitter when no one cared about me on Twitter. So I appreciate it. But I just want to revisit, for historical reasons, just some takes from him and Tim Pool to kind of show the shift after Trump got arrested. It went from like, get out of the way, DeSantis is our guy, to like, we have to get to Donald Trump because he's getting persecuted and he's going to lead us to, revenge. So here's Tim Pool. He said in 2021, he said, Trump should not run in 2024. DeSantis should, right? This was what a lot of people were saying. The narrative was shifting. And Tim Pool's a big Trump guy now. He'll say he's not, but he is. Obviously, watch his show. Trump should not run in 2024. He said, DeSantis is our guy. Cernovich said, if after watching DeSantis govern, you want that tweeting crybaby back in office, please leave politics, find another hobby. You're going to make this country worse. He said, Ron DeSantis has no baggage. You're not going to wake up someone with a mortifying tweet. He's even got those fancy credentials people claim matter. Net migration is from liberal states to DeSantis' Florida. Any so-called reform liberal who isn't all in for Ron is scamming you. He said that early in 2022. And the last one in April 2022, he said, DeSantis is the real deal. We see it ourselves. He is driving national conversation. He doesn't embarrass people. Normal people can support DeSantis and not have to wake up to a dodgy tweet from him. DeSantis runs in 2024 and it's historical Republican wins. And, a lot of people felt this way before the Alvin Bragg arrest. And I just want to show you guys this real quick because this is a Hodge Twins poll. I'm not acting like it's an official poll, but they did ask way more people than like your average poll has like 1,000 people. They asked, this is over 100,000 people within a couple months on the same page. Just look at this real quick. I've shared it before, but I want to show you again. So in November 10, 2022, they said, who would you rather have for president in 2024? Who would you rather vote for? 35% said Donald Trump. 62% said Ron DeSantis. So Ron DeSantis was beating Trump in this poll by 27, 28 points. And then right after the Alvin Bragg arrest got announced, it literally flipped and 64% of people said Trump and 27% of people said DeSantis. So I just want to explain to people, I'm not being hateful right now. I'm not trying to be rude or attack anybody. I'm just saying the facts. Donald Trump was being told by multiple conservative influencers, get out of the way. You're a crybaby. You're annoying. You embarrass us, whatever. It's DeSantis time. And the thing that flipped that in everybody's perception was before DeSantis even ran for office, Trump got indicted by Alvin Bragg, and that sent record number fundraising to Donald Trump. More fundraising to Democrats, right? Now he's got this narrative. I'm the victim. I want revenge. You want revenge. They're coming after me. They're coming for you. And I watched it transcend politics. And it was crazy to me at the time because if anybody remembers from 2020 to 2022, not a lot of people were talking about Trump or even, doing analysis on him that made sense. And I was one of the few people out here like, listen, his rhetoric on the vaccine is a little weird. He's telling Sweden to lock down. Like it's getting weird. Trump's flip-flopping, getting too close to Fauci. And a lot of people didn't say that. But then once 2021, 2022 started hitting, you started seeing more influencers start saying that. Like the Hodge twins started saying it. Cernovich was saying stuff like, it's Trump's time is done. Tim Pool started saying stuff. A lot of people, the polls were saying, it's DeSantis time. Trump is like weak and he's acting weird and DeSantis is crushing. And it wasn't until the Alvin Bragg arrest that then I watched in the next 2 weeks to follow that. Everybody was like, Trump. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, what made you go from Trump to that? Like, or DeSantis to Trump so quickly? I don't care who you vote for, but it was the Democrat arrest of Alvin Bragg. So now that we know, if you're being honest to yourself, and we'll get to the DeSantis campaign after this, because obviously there's things he could do better. But I'm just saying, those 2 weeks before DeSantis even ran and did anything, it was the Democrat persecution of Donald Trump that threw millions of people back in his hands, including, I just want to show you, this person who said, I was done with him, but now I'm back on the Trump train. And they pushed me back into him based on revenge. This is not the only person that thinks this way. Millions of people did the same thing. So now we have to ask our question, are Democrats stupid and they just didn't know they were helping Trump? They didn't know they were going to get him record fundraising. They didn't know they'd make him merch sales. They didn't know that it would boost him in the polls. They didn't know that it would help him win the primary. Are Democrats stupid, and did they just help Donald Trump by mistake? Or like Ann Coulter thinks, and like I think, they purposely did it. And I have evidence from 2016 that Democrats do this. If you guys remember the Pied Piper strategy, you could Google it, look it up if they allow you to look it up, because I think it came from the emails that only Chris Cuomo apparently on CNN is allowed to look at, but not you. In general, they had a Pied Piper strategy. So this idea, when people say to me, oh, anomaly, someone called me a left-wing Alex Jones, like I'm a Hillary Clinton Alex Jones. It was like a Trump account. I'm like, what are you talking about? A left-wing Alex? Like, it doesn't even make sense what you're talking about, but you're calling me a conspiracy theorist for saying that Democrats would ever try to elevate a candidate they thought would be easy to beat. We have proof that they did this in 2016. So it's not this theory that I'm pulling out of a rabbit hat and saying, oh, maybe Democrats do this. We know for a fact that they absolutely did it. So you're the foolish one, not you, but you get what I'm saying. If you think that it's not even a possibility that they do that, you don't have to believe it. But if you rule it out completely, you're an idiot, because they've already done it. It's literally proven that they did it. So, now you have to ask yourself, did Democrats purposely elevate Trump because they think he's easy to beat, or they think they could control him, or whatever reason that you might think that they did? Or are they completely foolish and they just, leveled up their own enemy that's going to destroy them? Me personally, like I said, I agree with Ann on that topic. I want to play this real quick because this is kind of a segue, and then I'll talk more. I watched this clip on Twitter where DeSantis finally answered all the criticism of people saying you're working with the Bushes, you're working with Paul Ryan, and you can listen for yourself, but I think he answers pretty well. He's like, Trump endorsed McCarthy, McConnell, Paul Ryan, and I'm going to show you a compilation of this stuff. I mean, it's true. So let's take a watch.
The chief criticism of you, I hear out in the grassroots, there's a perception somehow among my listeners that even though you have a 99% conservative voting record with the American Conservative Union and you co-founded the Freedom Caucus, that you are associated with the Bushes and endorsed by Paul Ryan, and you are part of that political group. Is that true?
No, it's all false. They've never been able to produce that. This is just Trump's people just repeat it. Trump endorsed Paul Ryan when we were trying to remove him in the Freedom Caucus back in 2016. Trump endorsed McCarthy. Trump endorsed McConnell for re-election in 2020. I didn't do any of those things. That was Trump, not me. And so here's the thing. That is delusional stuff. Look at what I've done as governor, okay? We fought the biomedical security state. There weren't very many Republicans willing to do that. We banned gender transition surgeries for minors. Not a lot of Republicans have been willing to do that. We banned sanctuary cities. We put in E-Verify. How many people associated with Paul Ryan would have sent illegal aliens to Martha's Vineyard? We've pushed back against DEI and ESG. Ban central bank digital currency. There's not a single elected Republican in the country who can match that record. And so if you look at that, I mean, I don't know how you would explain that away and try to indulge in stuff like that. So those are people that are just not following facts. And look, at the end of the day, if you're for Trump, that's fine. But don't delude yourself into thinking that that's accurate. It's just not.
And I just want to point this out. Trump endorsed Mitt Romney for Senate, something I would never do and no serious outsider would ever do. He endorsed Mitt Romney. That's a fact. Trump endorsed Mitch McConnell. That's a fact. He did that. He also endorsed Paul Ryan. He said, Speaker Paul Ryan is truly a good man, and while he will not be seeking re-election, he will leave a legacy of achievement that nobody can question. We are with you, Paul. So this kind of ruins the idea of like, oh, Trump just got stonewalled by Paul Ryan. he didn't get stonewalled. He liked it, and he said that he had a great legacy after he was out of office. So let's watch a compilation that most people don't want to see, but they need to. Should be playing any minute. Let's see.
I think Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney will save Medicare. I know they will.
I like Paul Ryan very much.
I have a lot of respect for Paul Ryan.
I have great respect for Paul Ryan.
And I have a lot of respect for Paul Ryan.
I support and endorse our Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan.
Paul Ryan, who is a very good person.
Paul Ryan's a good guy, actually. Paul Ryan's, he's a good guy.
Speaker Paul Ryan, I've really come to I've come to appreciate him.
I have a lot of respect for Paul Ryan, and I like him very much.
I'll tell you, he has been terrific. He's a good man, and he's a good guy. He's like a fine wine. No, he's a classy guy.
Frankly, I like Paul Ryan very much.
Every day goes by, I get to appreciate his genius more and more.
And I want to thank Speaker Paul Ryan for being here. He's been tremendous.
A great speaker, Paul Ryan, and he is a great speaker. He's a great guy, and we have some amazing things in store. And he's going to lead the way, so thank you. Paul Ryan and Mitch, it was a little team. We just got together, and we would work very hard, didn't we? Huh? A wonderful man who I've gotten to know very well. We're going to win so much. You're going to go to Paul Ryan. You're going to go, Mr. Speaker, please, please. We can't stand winning this much. We can't.
I mean, I just have to agree that it's delusional for a group of people that support that guy to say, oh, he's working with Paul Ryan, not the guy who endorsed Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney. After Paul Ryan was out of office, he said he did a great job and his legacy couldn't be questioned. But that isn't a rhino, right? It's only other. It's like the double standards are obvious. I want to say this real quick because I want to read a few more things. Someone wrote this, and I think it's pretty true. It said, whether it was intentional agenda or incompetence, Trump's staffing was shit, but this isn't that kind of an election for the Republican base. It's a revenge election, a people wanting a payback election. DeSantis isn't telling that story. I agree with that. And, someone said only Vivek is telling that story. And it's funny because this kind of goes back to self-awareness and self-accountability in the Republican Party. America gets what it deserves. Like, America deserves Trump and Biden. America deserves Biden. You don't want Biden. I don't want Biden. Most people don't want, but we deserve Biden because we don't have accountability for ourselves. So often you get what you want. Why are there so many pharmaceutical commercials on television? Somebody's buying that. And it's probably the government through socialism. And it's probably both parties. And, part of it is consumerism. Other parts of it is just straight up government socialism when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry. But nobody cares about it and it's not going to change. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is I agree with that comment that it's like, DeSantis doesn't understand this election's about revenge. And someone said, well, Vivek understands. It's like, he understands that in order to get Republicans to like him, he has to just gaslight them, which it's not his fault. Like, yeah, no, he's playing the smart game. Just tell Trump supporters what they want to hear, right? Tell them that you think that Trump's like, he writes in his book that Trump's a victim. Trump's like Stacey Abrams. Trump's a sore loser. He doesn't believe in election fraud, but now he does because he's on campaign and he's listening to you. It's like, I don't blame him for lying and gaslighting you because at the end of the day, that's what the base wants. And if you want to be lied to and gaslit and you want people to just comfortably lie and tell you what you want to hear, then you deserve to be lied to. Like, if you don't demand respect for yourself and you don't want the truth, then you're going to get what you want. And it's not just the Democrats' fault. On that note, I have to say, like, when people say he's not running a good campaign, DeSantis, not to make excuses for him, because I think there's a lot of things he could do better, but Trump is a fantastical character where, like, it's hard to run a campaign against Donald Trump. If you don't criticize him, it's too soft. If you tell the truth about him, people get upset. Like, DeSantis is going around. Can you name things that he's saying that's totally false about Trump? He's saying that he gave Fauci an award on his last day of office. That's true. He's saying that he says his vaccine saved 100 million lives, and that's insane. That's true. He says that Trump endorsed Paul Ryan while DeSantis worked for the Freedom Caucus in Congress. That's like, all that's true, but people don't like the truth when it goes against Trump. They like Vivek for lying to them. Like, Vivek's like, how do I get these people to like me? Oh, I just tell them what they want to hear. And that's what people want. So it's like, I don't understand what people really want. And I think what people want is Trump, but I don't think Trump is necessarily who they think they are. So it is what it is. And I'll say this too, moving forward, when it comes to Tim Pool and Cerno and the stuff they were tweeting in 2021, 2022, they were basically like, it's DeSantis's time. It's not Trump's time. Trump needs to go away. It's DeSantis's time. What changed from then until now? Because something changed. Clearly, they changed their opinion. And that's okay. Everybody's allowed to change their opinion. I'm not knocking them for changing their opinion. You're allowed to based on new evidence. But what was the new evidence in 2023 that just changed everyone's perception, the Tim Pools of the world, for saying it's DeSantis' time to it's Trump's time and I hate DeSantis? What was the big change? The big change was the Alvin Bragg arrest. You can't tell me all the stuff that Cerno was saying about Trump, that he's goofy and he embarrasses us. Has that changed? Has he stopped truth socialing? Has he stopped saying stuff that's edgy? No, Trump is the same person in 2023 that he was in 2022. He hasn't changed. The persecution on Trump has changed. And I understand that philosophy of like, well, we got to rally behind him because he's tough enough, and everybody's allowed to think for themselves. But nothing really changed in Trump's actions and demeanor and the way he acts and how he says stuff that is over. Like, he's been doing that, right? So the only thing that changed was the Alvin Bragg arrest for the most part. And a lot of people backed him when that happened. So all I'm going to say is, whether you think the Democrats are stupid or they purposely did it, you have to understand the Democrats decided who won the 2024 primary. The Democrats chose that for you. The Democrats manipulated you into feeling that way, whether they did it purposely or not. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. Maybe it's the right thing, maybe it's the wrong thing. You could decide whether their actions did that. But if a poll on the Hodge twins goes from 65% DeSantis, and 3 months later it goes 67% Trump, and Trump has not done anything different, he has not said anything different, he has not corrected the errors that people thought he would correct, DeSantis didn't do anything astronomically crazy at that point. The only thing that happened was Donald Trump got persecuted by Democrats. Democrats made a chess move, and Republicans threw their support back in the hands of Donald Trump. That's literally what happened. So, you could ask yourself, is this a huge calculated error by the Democrats that just didn't know that that would help Trump in the primary? Or did they purposely do it because they know he's a goofy, easily beatable character that everybody already knows and that they think they have the strategy to beat? I agree with Ann Coulter. I listened to her podcast. I really like and respect Patrick Bet-David. I've met him. I've talked to him. We've chatted quite a bit. I respect him more than I respect most people. I think he's one of the best new podcasters out there, and he's got a bright future, and he's already crushed in business. With that being said, I'm not a huge Ann Coulter fan, but I agree a lot of what she was saying in that podcast. And it's okay to disagree, but that's my honest opinion. He kept saying, you're bitter, you sound bitter, you sound bitter. And she said, you sound like a battered husband or wife that got beaten and you just keep denying stuff, where it's like, yeah, she does sound bitter. But at the same time, she liked Trump at the beginning when Trump said he was going to finish the wall, do all this stuff, be tough on illegal immigration. And Ann Coulter feels like he fell short. And Ann actually knows Trump, and she's spoken multiple times where she's like, I would tell him these things and he would tell me to shut up, and he'd go side with Democrats and Jared Kushner and do the opposite of what he campaigned on. She was like, I had his back when no one had his back because I wanted him to do this. But as soon as he got power, he basically told me to shut up and went and did other stuff. So it's like, would I be bitter if I said Joe Biden's doing a bad job? Does that make me bitter? Am I like a bitter woman because I'm like, yo, Joe Biden's a shitty president? No, everybody's allowed to disagree with politics or try to use their leverage to get the policy that they want. And to me, that sounds like what Ann's doing. Yes, she's a woman. Yes, she can be a little annoying, very annoying, honestly, even though I agree with her. She is kind of like off-putting with her attitude. With that being said, I mean, I wasn't seeing very many holes in her argument. She came understanding a lot of stuff, and they just kept like saying, oh, you're bitter. And I was like, maybe, but I think everybody else is just ignoring the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room, like people are saying, is everybody wants this narrative, right? They want Trump to win the election, right? Cool. They want Trump to get revenge on the deep state. They want Trump to get revenge on the Democrats. They want this, right? I get it. Yeah, sure. But what if what you want in reality doesn't match up? Like, if you want all these things, but it's not going to happen, he's not going to win the election. He's going to lead you to the slaughter. He's going to lose. If he wins, what if he did the same thing? Like, I hope if he wins, he does the right thing, and I'll support him if he does. But I'm just saying, like, just because you want something doesn't mean you're going to get it. So I feel like everybody's like wants and hopes are directly connected to the Alvin Bragg arrest. Like, everybody was saying in 2022, to the point where the Hodge twins had a poll that 66, 67% of people said they liked DeSantis. And then 3 months later, they said they all like Trump. Like that's pretty good. Like that was a huge swing on their page. 100,000+ people swung in that direction. Why did they swing? Did they swing because Trump started making more sense? No. Did they swing because Trump learned his lesson with what he did? No. Did they learn? Did Trump admit that he made a mistake during the lockdowns? No. Did Trump stop shilling the vaccine for the pharmaceutical industry and the global elites? No. He did nothing different. In fact, he's just gotten stupider, dumber, and faker. So like all of that swing has nothing to do with his actions. It has everything to do with the Democrat persecution of him and the perception that they hope that he'll seek revenge on them. But it's all like a pipe dream. It's like the reason I call the conservative movement a cosplay movement. It's like it's like a fantasy movement. Let's all just pretend and dress up and hang out and, cosplay what we wish would happen. But, it's like, why? So the guy who called me Hillary Clinton, he's like, you're like a Hillary Alex Jones. I don't care. But I'm just like, Donald Trump had Hillary go to his wedding. Donald Trump donated to Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump said he was going to lock Hillary Clinton up, and then he got in office and gave him a standing ovation. Like, I didn't do any of that stuff, but I'm the Hillary one because the Hillary guy disagreed. It's like if Trump posts an MSNBC COVID propaganda article because he's trying to make DeSantis look bad, I need to agree with that and become a left winger, or else I'm a left winger. That's like their logic. Like when Trump goes left wing, when Trump goes establishment, when Trump endorses Mitt Romney, you can't disagree or oppose it too strongly, or else I'm going to call you a Democrat when he's being a Democrat. It's become a religion around a character, and that character is slipping so far away from the role that people thought he was playing. And he's like out there telling everybody, and everybody's like, but I want you to seek revenge on them. And I hope for your sake that you're right, because, the conversation we had yesterday, is Trump the Judas goat in farming terms? The Judas goat is the animal that they have lead the sheep to the slaughter. All the sheep get killed. That animal gets spared, and they just keep repeating the process. You look at what's going on with Mike Lindell now. Reports are saying he's really hurting. Giuliani, all these people that had Trump's back, they're all losing everything, right? And if it's righteous, it's righteous. A righteous man will lose everything for what he believes is true. But the thing is the person that you're losing everything for even true? Is Trump losing everything? I mean, I hope that he beats his court cases because I think they're overreaching. But in general, to me, it seems like a Judas goat situation where it's like he's marching all his supporters to the slaughter. He's marching all his supporters into prison. He's marching all the rich people who like him into financial ruin. And for what? For a guy who says his globalist socialist vaccine saved the world because a Democrat friend told him to? For a guy who's proud, he calls himself the father of the vaccine and thinks, it's the greatest achievement of mankind. That's who you're losing everything for? To me, it's so obviously a Judas goat situation, and people can't see it. So they're just walking like sheep to the slaughter, and the people closest to Trump lose everything. And the supporters who follow Trump the most end up in prison. And everybody's doing all this stuff, but for what? For what? I'll do something righteous and lose my financial revenue for what I believe in. If I believe that the pharmaceutical industry is corrupt, I'm not going to say it's not just to save my money. No, I'll never be Travis Kelce. I don't care how much Pfizer pays me or they set up a PR team, Taylor Swift, fake relationship or whatever. I don't care because I'm a righteous man, but like, I'm not following a guy who says that his COVID vaccine saved the world, a guy that endorsed Mitt Romney, a guy that has Lindsey Graham on a stage. He's had Lindsey Graham on the stage more than he's had Ted Nugent on the stage, who I like. He's had Lindsey Graham this year on stage more times than he's had Mike Lindell on stage. He's had Lindsey Graham on the stage more than he's had Carrie Lake on the stage. There's not a single righteous Trump supporter that he's had on the stage more than Lindsey Graham. So everybody's going to lose everything for a guy that's going to run around the media just saying stupid crap, sharing MSNBC COVID propaganda articles, saying DeSantis should have done enforcement or rather like promoted masks more. That's who Mike Lindell's losing all his money for. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's like, do it if you think it's righteous, but I don't. I think that they did this purposely. I think they know Trump's an easy candidate to be. I think they know he's either in on it or completely losing his mind. I think they know how sloppy he is. And Democrats play evil chess, and Trump just flails his arm and does chaotic checkers, and everybody that follows him too closely ends up in a trap. And in general, it's like, in order to win, we have to not just talk about politics. We have to talk about culture. I believe that there's fitness people out there and people promoting good health. They're doing more to help America than anybody in politics. People that are talking about clean eating and empowering people to work out, regardless of what you think of Tate, because he has an interesting past and stuff. But, Andrew Tate became such a target because he made a bunch of men not feel pathetic. And although he might have not done it in a way you want him to do, even Gavin Newsom said his son likes Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson. So it's like, they hated people that like woke up young men into not being pathetic and liberal. And they hate that stuff. And I'm not saying nobody in politics makes a difference, but in order to change this country, we have to change the culture. And in order to change the culture, we can't just be stuck on a politician's script, whether it's Trump, Bernie Sanders, or anyone. Like the script, this is when people get mad at me, is I go off script. If Donald Trump says Sweden should stay open or should lock down and I say it's open, people get mad at me because I got off the script, but the script's not true. I have my own script. God gave me a soul, a body, a mind. He didn't make me a follower. He didn't make you a follower. He gave you a unique name. Your name's not Donald Trump. You're you. Support him, vote for him, give him money if you want to give him, but understand you don't have to follow a politician's script or a billionaire's script. If they say something you disagree with, feel free to break out of it. Feel free to create your own narrative. Feel free to be like, you know what? I made the song Way Too Jack for the Gulag because I wanted to make a song that was like, I'm not, I'm going to get so strong, I'm not going to fit in the gulag. And it's like a stupid joke, but at the same time, I'm promoting fitness. I'm promoting health. I'm like, we got to wake America up. We can't just stick to the script. And like the Trump script is like the same thing. It's like my vaccine saved 100 million lives. It's a great human achievement. Like whatever, like the election was stolen. And people are just saying the same things in circles. And like, I see everybody in my comments that argues and they're like, well, you can't like DeSantis more than Trump. Okay. But the election's going to get stolen. Trump probably doesn't have a chance to win. If he doesn't have a chance to win and it's stolen, why do you care who wins the primary? It shouldn't matter to you because it's not real. But it's like you think it's real enough that you desperately want Donald Trump in, but you don't believe. It's like the whole thing's turned into like a controlled demolition. I believe they're running controlled demolition on the Republican Party. And at this point, I've said it 100 times because I truly believe it. Either I think Donald Trump's completely in on it, or he's just so egotistical and he has so much hubris that he will just crash everything into the ground with no shame or care for anybody else or what the cost is. Like I'm not going to risk everything for a man who sits on True Social and shares COVID propaganda MSNBC hit pieces on DeSantis that say that he killed more people and he's worse than Nero of Rome because he didn't promote masks and booster shots enough. Like that's who Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is like a raging left-wing libtard at this point who's just posting whatever, throwing out chaotically like left-wing, right. He has no stances. He speaks at the pro-life March for Life. Then he says he doesn't believe in the heartbeat bill, even though Roe versus Wade got overturned so Republican states could, save some lives if you're pro-life. But who knows what he is because he's nothing. He's just whatever you want him to be for the time. He says this, he says this. He says that he disagrees with what's going on in the war in Ukraine, but then he says he thinks Europe should pay for it more. He says he disagrees with what Biden's doing. Then on the next speech, he says that he's proud of the Javelin missiles he sent to Ukraine, and he's trying to take credit for the weapons sent to Ukraine. He says, Biden bought blankets. I bought all the weapons. I bought all the weapons. Like Trump isn't who you want him to be. You want him to be this guy, but he's telling you every time he's on stage, I'm not that guy. Like I'm not who you think I am. And everyone's like, I think he is who I want him to be. And, we're just going to act like Ann Coulter's crazy for saying that. She might be crazy, but she's not wrong about like most of what she was saying on that podcast. But the problem is people don't want to hear it because it's like a sports team and the sports team wants Donald Trump. Okay, you could have him, but at the end of the day, if he loses the election by 15 points, don't blame anybody else. If and at this point, it's fractured in such an illogical way. I'm fine with fracture if it makes sense. Yeah, rhinos are bad, Republicans in name only, and get a real guy in there. But if you're fractured and divided, but it's based off of emotional support to him and not actual policy, then we have no chance moving forward. And I wanted to say this one thing too before I jump in the comment section. Millions of people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And even if you don't trust Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you think he's a Democrat, you think he's a snake, you think he's a liar, please listen to what I say because I'm trying to explain to you why people like Robert F. Kennedy and why you're never going to win back those people if you don't get smarter, whether it's for Trump or for anyone else. And I'm really doing people a favor right now, breaking down why people like him. A lot of people just say he's a Democrat, he's a shit lib, he's a whatever. Okay, might be right. But people like RFK Jr. because he spent decades, and he's shown this. He sued Monsanto. Nobody talks about Monsanto anymore. In fact, I believe Bayer and Monsanto merged during the Trump administration because the Justice Department didn't block it. So now Bayer and Monsanto have created a super pharmaceutical Roundup company. It's pretty insane. Nobody cares. He's talked about it and sued them for decades. He's talked about pharmaceutical corruption for decades. While Donald Trump gave Anthony Fauci an award on his last day of office, look it up, RFK Jr. wrote a thick book called The Real Anthony Fauci, where he exposes the entire corrupt life and career of Anthony Fauci. And apparently, I don't think he's gotten sued over it, so there must not be much in there that's not true. So it's like, if you want to win back those millions of people who like RFK, you have to understand they like him because he spent decades fighting the pharmaceutical industry. He's spent decades with real environmentalism. I'm not saying he doesn't believe any fake stuff too, but I'm just saying he's done a lot of stuff when it comes to like polluted water, Monsanto. And also when you listen to him speak, he's a very thoughtful person. He's very thoughtful. He's very calculated with his words. He explains things very intelligently. Like, he's not a stupid guy. He's way better than a lot of these other politicians. So in order to gain his votes, you got to understand this. When I look at people that back Trump, they're like, oh, well, he's just a Democrat. Dude, you can't rally behind and pick for the primary a guy who says my vaccine saved 100 million lives because a Democrat friend told me to, and think you're going to get RFK votes. The hubris of this group of people that thinks that they're just going to magically get RFK's votes. Well, I like Trump, so you should like him too. Guys, the whole reason he's gaining more popularity is because Trump dropped the ball on this topic. The reason DeSantis flew up in the polls and was beating Trump until the Alvin Bragg arrest was because DeSantis changed the course of this topic, and he hired Joseph Ladapo, a real outsider, something that Trump never hired for that high position. He hired the swamp in almost every category for his cabinet, but a real outsider, Joseph Ladapo, was hired by DeSantis. So DeSantis hasn't just talked about it, he's proven it. RFK hasn't just talked about it, he's proven it. Not only has Donald Trump not proven it, but he doesn't even talk about it because he spends most of his time shilling for the pharmaceutical industry. So even if you like Donald Trump, stop trying to gaslight everybody into like, oh, we're going to win these votes because screw you, he's a Democrat. People aren't going to, like, you're picking the stupidest, shittiest, dumbest, fakest candidate who has lost tens of millions of people on this topic because he's an absolute fool, an absolute clown. He hired a bunch of pharmaceutical lobbyists and insiders for all his top positions, and he's still running around pathologically lying about it. And all these podcasts with conservative hosts, probably for business reasons, they think they could just gaslight everybody into thinking it because it's better for their business and better for their networking career. But the reality is, you're not going to get those votes, those millions upon tens of millions of people that voted for him in 2016 to 2020. You can win those votes, but you can't pick a guy that is so far away from Kennedy on that topic that they don't respect him. I know multiple people in my own circle, Republicans, independents, progressives that would probably support DeSantis or someone else, that are like, I'm voting for RFK. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Like, Trump is so fake. Biden's so fake. I don't care. They're like, screw it. I can't support this guy. He sounds like an imbecile. And it's like all these things that people critiqued Trump on in 2021 and 2022, where they're like, he's this, he's that. And now everybody's backing him. None of that changed, though. He didn't actually change anything. He got persecuted by Democrats. They chose that he was going to be this high in the polls. You didn't choose it for yourself. They chose for you that he's the guy now because they arrested him. And it's like, okay, but is he the conservative hero that's going to save us and lead us to victory? Maybe. Or is he the Judas goat? To me, if he would tell the truth, I would say he's a hero. If he would tell the truth, I would have his back. I still have his back in many ways, because if it's true, I'm going to have his back 10 times out of 10, whether I like what he's saying or not. But in general, just listening to the guy talk every day, I think he's a Judas goat. Like, what type of hero would still be pathologically lying about the product that was like the most, I would say, corrupt product in modern history, that the government and the number one lobbyist in Washington, the health and pharmaceutical industry, collaborated in a socialist scheme that was not capitalist. Everything they do is free because it's not free. You're paying for it. Every time they say it's free, go get it at CVS, it's free. It's not free. You think Pfizer's making no money? It's not free. You think Moderna didn't make any money? They're suing each other behind the scenes, including, I think, one of Vivek's company was suing for that. They all want a piece of that mRNA technology because it's going to make a freaking fortune right now. And everything's free because the government is in on it. And the patent with Moderna is like a government patent. The government owns part of the Moderna patent, and Moderna sued Pfizer. This is the most corrupt, pharmaceutical ploy in modern history. And Donald Trump calls himself the father of it and says he saved 100 million lives because a Democrat friend told him to. And you're not going to call him a rhino, and then you're going to cry when people vote for RFK. I'd rather a Republican win than RFK, but the hubris and the ego and the delusion of Trump supporters and Republicans to think that they're just going to scoop up all those votes magically because they want to. He's going to seek revenge because they want to. I want this to be true. Well, what if it wasn't true? What if the Democrats knew how to maneuver you? It's easy. It's too easy. George Bush, Iraq, it's easy. You're too easy to fool. Just like the left is too easy to fool, so is our movement. And the reason I spend so much time talking about it, just to be clear, is because I'm coming to a conclusion that the left wing can do nothing for me. The Democratic Party can do nothing for me. Unless they get somebody like RFK up there or something better like Tulsi Gabbard, they can literally do nothing for me. At least RFK or Tulsi could do like something. These people, the Biden administration, they're not my team. They're not my guys. The way they run their city's insane. I agree with conservatives and libertarians and, Republicans on almost every issue at this point. And that's not to say they're right about everything, but Democrats' worldview, it just isn't compatible with where I am right now and what I see. So the Republican Party is my party. The conservative movement is my movement. Trump supporters are my people. But if people don't snap out of it, it's like we're not going to have a chance for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years because this whole movement's turning into like, let's ignore reality. Let's just assume people are going to like us again. The people who agree with you do agree with you. And to be fair, Biden's so bad. Yeah, anyone could win the election. If he could win, anyone could win. But it's like, do we want to cut it close? Do we want to cut it to Pennsylvania waiting for 4 days? Or do we want to win by so much that they can't gaslight us for 3 or 4 days saying there's water leaks and they're counting in stadiums? Like, we can't afford that. We're going to lose the election if we wait for one of the 3 states that takes 4 days to count. We got to win so convincingly that doesn't matter. That's the only way we're going to win. I think it's partially rigged, but not completely rigged. And I think it's partially rigged because the media is rigged. Social media algorithms are rigged. To be honest, that's probably one of the main reasons they're mad at Elon Musk, besides the fact that he's allowing, free speech and discussion and it's bringing up topics they don't want to bring up, is this election. They've always had it in the bag since 2016. After 2016 was too free, they cracked down on Facebook. They cracked down on YouTube. They cracked down on Twitter. They suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story. To be honest, whether you like them or not, if you are a Republican and you believe in some of these people, whether it's Trump or DeSantis, Elon Musk is like the most heroic person in recent history because he bought Twitter. The people who suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story, he literally exposed them and released all the files and emails, got the main guy, Yoel Roth there. He left the company. And now he's basically taking the company and making sure that they can't suppress stories for the 2024 election. That's why they're so pissed at Elon Musk, among many reasons. So he's a bigger hero than Trump is in my category, because he actually did that. I mean, I'm not saying Trump did nothing, but like what Elon's doing because of how they use the media to rig the election is astronomically important. Like it's so much more important than people realize. But that being said, I don't believe in mass mail-in ballots and no IDs. I don't believe it should count 3 days. I agree with people, but I'm not a sore loser where it's like, well, then screw it then. It's like, no, we can win the election. We've won elections. Hundreds of Republicans have won in the past. Trump won in 2016. It's possible, but you can't cut it close. And if you're going to cut it close, you're going to lose, whether it should be or not. So let's think about it. But how are we going to win a massive election when tens of millions of people or millions of people went to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for multiple reasons, and people in the Trump camp just don't understand why. And they're like, no, just support us. Why would they support you if you're going to vote for a primary candidate that says his vaccine saved 100 million lives because a Democrat told him to? Nobody's going to look at that and be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to vote for him over RFK. The whole reason they like RFK is because RFK isn't that full of shit on the topic. So here's a new idea for all of these Republican influencers and all these Republican podcasters that are making an absolute cash cow off Trump and his family and don't want to talk about this. Why don't you tell Trump to stop pathologically lying about the topic that everybody knows he's lying about? Nobody needs him to gaslight us this hard on the vaccine to win an election. It's not going to get him any votes. So why don't you tell him to stop lying instead of trying to get everybody else to vote for him? Because nobody's going to vote for him. I don't even want to write his name down on a piece of paper. I'd vote for him over Biden, but damn, every time he opens his mouth, it gets harder and harder and harder. And the reasons that people don't like DeSantis don't even make sense. There's like a lot of reasons not to like DeSantis, but they're like, Paul Ryan. It's like there's a compilation of Trump backing Paul Ryan 15 times. He endorsed Paul Ryan. He said he did a great job after he left office. He said his legacy couldn't be questioned after he left office. So this idea that Paul Ryan stonewalled Donald Trump is the same idea that Fauci stonewalled Donald Trump and everybody tricked Donald Trump. Did you ever think that maybe he tricked you? Maybe a million people tricked him and he just doesn't know anything. And he's this idiot, but he's also a genius, but he always gets fooled and he's still getting fooled. But you want revenge now. So he must give you what you want, even though there's no signs that he's changed at all, but you want it. So it's going to happen, right? Because you saw a mugshot. What? You know what I'm saying? Instead of thinking that he got fooled 15 times or Paul Ryan fooled him, what about thinking that you got fooled? Has anyone ever thought that? I think a lot every day, more and more people are figuring that out. And I want Republicans to win the 2024 election. In order to win the 2024 election, I'm just being clear. Even if you like Trump, you should listen to this and relay it to him. And somebody needs to get through his thick skull or else he's going to wipe our whole movement out. Okay. You're never going to get the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. crowd if you don't snap him out of his big pharma delusion. He's so in on it. He loves it. His hubris is disgusting. Okay. Tell him that. Somebody. I mean, everybody tells him, but nobody, he doesn't listen to anybody because everybody's like subservient to him. They're like, I want your money and power, Donnie. I'll do what you say. But in general, you're not going to win those millions upon tens of millions of people unless he actually snaps out of it. And it might be too late because at this point, he's already said his one narrative 1,000 times. So it's hard for people to even believe him. The Joe Rogan crowd, the Elon Musk crowd, the Bill Maher crowd, there's tens of millions of people who don't like Biden. There's tens of millions of people who don't like Donald Trump. And they are just looking for something real. The same reason that I liked Ron Paul when I was younger, even though Ron Paul was conservative. They called him too far right wing. I didn't even know what right wing was. I just liked Ron Paul. I was like, oh, I had good intuition. I'm like, that's the guy that they hate. When I was however old, 17, 18, I was intelligent enough to be like, Ron Paul's the realest person on that stage. The media hates Ron Paul because he's the real one, and they're trying to black him out so nobody could see him. I knew that when I was young. Trump didn't tell me the media was fake, and I learned through Donald Trump. I knew the media was fake since I was a kid, and I liked Donald Trump because he was saying the truth. Trump didn't teach me all these truths. I liked him because he spoke the truth about that topic, and that made me connect to him. Now that he's sharing MSNBC COVID propaganda articles, I don't like that. That's not the Trump that I liked. But in general, people want something. People are voting for RFK because if you listen to RFK and Trump talk, RFK, even though his voice is messed up, he sounds very genuine. He's thoughtful. He's intelligent. He's got something to share. Trump is like a circus clown at this point. Even listening to DeSantis talk about Trump with that thing, that's real. Like, he's just like, he endorsed McCarthy. He endorsed McConnell. He endorsed, these people. That's all true. When Trump talks, he's like, Florida, it doesn't even matter if Charlie Crist won. It's a hot area. It's sunny. Anybody could win Florida. It's hot. It's warm. It's easy. It has nothing to do with DeSantis. Bro, everybody knows that's a lie. All these businesses went to Florida. Millions of people left other places to go to Florida for multiple reasons. And now to be a Trump supporter, you have to be like, oh yeah, warm weather means you get good politics. Guys, California proves that that's not true. It has even better weather than Florida. So that's your inspirational movement, a guy who's just gaslighting everybody on everything. We can win this election, but we need to get the RFK crowd. We need to get the Bill Maher crowd. We need to get the Joe Rogan crowd and that like middle group that like they want to support our policies, but Trump is just such a buffoon that it's like, I'll sit it out. I'll vote for RFK. I don't know. Maybe I'll just like not vote. And with all the border stuff and all the crime in the cities, like this election should be so easy for Republicans to win. The crime is out of control in the cities. Everybody sees it now. Even if they won't admit it, they know it. It's like with the COVID stuff. 90% of people know that they got bullshitted. Not everybody's going to tell you. Some people are going to come out and apologize and say they were wrong. But for the most part, they're just going to say nothing. They're just going to be like, I'm not even going to say anything about it. Like, I know what I did a year ago was wrong, but I was just following directions or whatever. But like, the fact that no one's talking about this stuff anymore means that 90+% of people who did it realize that they got played. They just don't have the humility to admit they got played. So on that topic, that's a winnable topic. We won that narrative over time. We won the border narrative over time. The crime in the cities is real, and Democrats don't know how to run cities. The childhood, sexualization stuff is wildly unpopular, and there's a lot of older Democrats that are like, propagandized by the television, but even they see through that narrative. So it's like the election is a game of getting people to understand and coming over to your side. You know, it's like RFK, even though he's not going to win, he's understands, like, he's getting left wingers and right wingers. He's like, here, this is my message. This is what I believe. And I'm going to say it in a way that's thoughtful and compassionate, and it's sucking in people. Trump is just like pushing people away because he's just like ranting all the time. Like, dude, a guy that shares an MSNBC article that says that DeSantis should have done more masks and booster shots, and then a minute later shares a tweet that says that DeSantis vaccinated more people than Fauci and Trump. Like, Trump is a psycho. I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's like he's either lost his mind or he's just full of crap. Like, on one hand, he loves the vaccine. He thinks it's so great, but then he says that DeSantis vaccinated more people than him and Fauci. And then a minute later, he shares an article that says that he didn't vaccinate enough. Like, nothing he does or says makes sense. Either he's a Judas goat just demolishing the Republican Party so nothing can grow from what we built, or he's just like losing it. I don't know what the thing is. Like, it's just, it's not sustainable. So I pray that even people that don't like what I'm saying and they're like, oh, no, he's this and that, you have to think about how to win people over. And if you want these certain crowds, you don't have to be fake. You don't have to lie to them. Speak the truth authentically on topics that matter, and you'll get them. That's not what's happening. What you have is a guy that is just pushing everyone away while his supporters say, we don't have to do anything different. This is great. This is awesome. It's like, it's not awesome. It's not awesome. It's not cool. It's not likable. And the millions of Republican voters that are going to vote for RFK, it's not their fault. It's your fault if you pick this guy. There's a candidate, in my opinion, that's much better. He's not 100% to be trusted. None of them are. You shouldn't trust RFK 100%. You shouldn't trust DeSantis 100%. And you shouldn't trust Trump 100%. None of them are trustworthy, including Trump. But if you're going to put Trump on the standard of like, I'm 100% trusting him, but everyone else is a rhino, even though he does more rhino stuff, there's nothing more rhino than sharing an MSNBC article that says that DeSantis killed more people than Democrats, and he did a worse job than Gavin Newsom, and he should have pushed booster shots, and he should have told people to wear masks, and he killed more people than Nero in Rome. Like, there's nothing more rhino than sharing an MSNBC propaganda article like that. Trump is a rhino. He's the ultimate rhino. Putting Lindsey Graham on a stage is a rhino. Endorsing Mitt Romney is a rhino. Endorsing Kevin McCarthy, and then all his supporters hate it, but they don't confront him on it. It's all rhino activity. So if you have those standards for everyone else, cool. But have those standards for him. If you don't, the whole movement's bullshit. And if he's going to win the primary and lose the election, you're just demolishing the party. You know, say what you want about DeSantis. Look at what he's doing with the law in Florida. The guy gets stuff done. He gets stuff done in the schools. He gets stuff done with his hires. Trump doesn't. If you want to pick him and you want to lose all these people, but the thing is now it's past the point of no return. Trump has programmed his supporters to think that, well, he does all these things, so you can't support him if he wins. So it's like a lose-lose. Trump's making tens of millions of people not want to vote for him. Trump's making his base of tens of millions of people not want to vote for DeSantis. So it's like we're screwed either way now. Like, Trump has demolished the entire movement, and they're going to blame other people for it. It's like, we're probably not going to win in 2024, because if Trump loses, he's going to throw a fit and throw the entire election purposely, and his supporters are going to do it. If he wins, he's pissed off enough people where a lot of people are going to vote for RFK or sit it out because they're scorned. And I don't want that to happen, but it's like, it just seems so planned to me. Like, I just don't think this is organic. Like, if you criticize DeSantis and rhinos and stuff, do it. But do it honestly. If you do it in a way where you're like, oh, he did a shit job in Florida and it's sunny, anyone could have ran this place, like, that's stupid. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the people following that, they don't have real conviction of what they're saying. It's just like, I don't like him and I like him, so I'm going to vote for him and I'm not going to vote for him. Okay, so we're just going to lose now? Like, you know, I don't see this working, and I feel like it's past the point of no return. I think tens of millions of people are so pushed away by who Trump was and what he's doing and how he acts that they're not going to vote for him. And I think tens of millions of people are loyal to Donald Trump. He could spit in their face and they'd say that it's a shower, and they're not going to vote for DeSantis. And I think most people are extremely reasonable, and they'll probably vote for the best candidate in the election. But it's one of those things. It's like, you know, are these people trying to make us like them? Like, when I listen to Vivek, I don't trust Vivek, but he's trying to get me to like him. I get it. He's even on my show, he's smiling. He's trying to get me to like him. That's a smart move. You know, I don't buy it, but like, I get it. That's his job. RFK is trying to get people to like him. DeSantis is, I don't know. He's trying to get some people to like him, but clearly Trump supporters don't like it. With Trump, like, I don't know. I used to love the guy, but I'm listening to him talk. I'm like, I don't know who he's talking to, but he's definitely not getting me to like he's not even trying. It's basically like, I'm the guy. It's my time. It's my turn. I'm winning in the polls. I used the debate to win in 2016. The debate helped me win, but now I'm trying to close the debates because I don't want to show up because I'd look like an idiot and I'd get absolutely mopped. Trump would get mopped. 2017 Trump would have mopped the floor with these people. 2023 Trump gets absolutely demolished by DeSantis in a debate. He would embarrass Trump. It would be embarrassing. If not, why doesn't Trump debate him? Because he's up in the polls. He's Hillary Clinton now. I'm up in the polls. I don't debate. We shouldn't even have debates. Okay, Hillary, that sounds good. It's like, that's like who's this message for? It's not for me. So, I wish he would try to say and do things that got me and other people to want to vote for him. But it's like the whole movement is just filled with hubris. It's like everybody should like us. We don't have to do anything. You're a bird brain. You're this, you're that. Okay, sure. That'll surely work. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to read a few comments before I take off. I already went over an hour. Chad said, this is just intentional division by whoever's really in charge. I think so. Someone said, my mind's made. Ginger Billy in 2024. Who's Ginger Billy? Is that RFK? No, or Ginger Billy? Am I supposed to know who that is? Is that like a character from a Dr. Pepper can or something? Someone said Trump is a fat old liberal. Tom, that's hate speech. You're out of here. No, I'm just kidding. Someone said DeSantis talks like he's been kept in a basement his whole life. Yeah, I mean, he definitely talks a little weird sometimes, but I feel like when he knows what he's talking about and he's passionate, I feel it, but that's kind of funny. Someone said I would vote for Nicki Minaj before I vote for Nikki Haley. I agree. I probably would too. Someone said Trump is a lifelong lib and Clinton pal. That's true, but noticing the truth is hate speech to MAGA world now, so you shouldn't say that. Someone said America's too low IQ. Fluoride in the water, seed oil in the foods. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of crazy they put fluoride in the water. Fact check. We put fluoride in your water for your teeth. Herder, it's such a small quantity that we don't care. Someone said YouTuber, anomaly, comedian. That's right. I'm a comedian. What's my solution? Listen long enough and you'll hear it 1,000 times. Someone said, I hope Ron stays Florida governor. We need him. He's doing a good job there. And I think he did something where it's like, if you get caught doing like raping a kid or something, they do the death penalty. Like he's going extremely hard on crime. Like what Law and Order, like they're doing that to the fullest extent in Florida. I don't know how it's going to work over time, but let me see. Someone said Florida keeps voting for DeSantis, says something. Well, it'll be interesting to see if DeSantis or Trump wins Florida. I could see it going both ways, but I don't know. Am I not afraid of a border wall? Did I read your super chat? No, I'll try to scroll up. I've heard the theory that a border wall keeps people in. I mean, I do think we need to let me see. I found it. Are you not afraid that a border wall will be used to keep us in instead of keeping immigrants out? I'm surprised more people aren't skeptical. Only Hispanics are bringing drugs, crime here, please. I hear you. I'm not gonna poo-poo that theory. I've heard it before. I've heard Ron Paul say it and people. I mean, I would like to think that America's not going to get too bad, but based on the last couple of years and how it's going, I wouldn't rule it out that Americans need to flee at a certain point. I don't want that to happen. I'm not trying to scare people, but it's a valid point. It's definitely worth considering. I do think that we need to secure the border though, and not allow millions of people in, but it's definitely some food for thought, especially what they did during the lockdown. A very valid point that should at minimum be considered by everybody. Unfortunately, we don't live in the America that we thought it was. So anything is a possibility. Someone said re-education camps, World War III, Hillary Clinton 2024. You guys pumped for the Hillary Clinton re-education camps? She'll tell you how to not be a Trump supporter and how to be a good Democrat, Be a good Democrat. All you have to do, change your gender a few times, and you'll be voting Democrat in no time. Yeah. Where would you rather be besides a Hillary Clinton re-education camp? I could think of a few places. Let's see. Hello World said Trump was originally a Democrat, was best friends with people in the establishment, such as the Clintons. Hell, Trump literally said, I may surprise you how much I have in common with the Dems. Well, I gave Trump a chance. I appreciated some things he did, but yeah, he doesn't have conservative conviction. Like, you listen to Matt Walsh, whether you like Matt Walsh or not, he has conviction. Like, Matt Walsh believes in what he's talking about. When you listen to DeSantis on certain topics, he believes what he's saying. Trump doesn't believe anything he's saying. He's not really that conservative. And the thing was, if he was really middle of the road and like was pulling in millions of Democrats like RFK, then it's like, okay, that's a sacrifice we're willing to take. But Trump comes across like he's like a dictator, but he's not. But he doesn't get those votes. He's not like a soft, mushy guy. He acts like he's the hardest leader ever, but he governs like softer than RFK. It's like, you know what I'm saying? He's kind of like the worst of both worlds. If you're going to be soft, be soft. You're going to be hard, go hard. But you can't act and talk so hard. And that's part of the issue is like, he pushes out a lot of people with his rhetoric, but then when he governs, it is very like Democrat. It's like, nah, me and the Democrats are going to get along on abortion and we're all going to be happy. It's like, you're not though. They're not going to like what you say unless you just completely disagree with them. They're not going to be happy, and it's like, you're not going to find a middle ground with the Democrats on abortion. It would be nice, but we don't live in that world. And I'm not saying not to do this or that, but like his idea is like, we're all going to get along. It's like, but we won't though. It's not going to happen that way. Someone said Trump is friends with Newsom. Yeah, but it's okay though. It's okay when Trump does everything. The MAGA movement has extreme standards for everybody except for Trump. For Trump, they have literally no standards. So if Trump does 50,000 times the rhino activity of Chip Roy or Thomas Massey, they're the rhinos for disagreeing with Trump. It's a religion around Trump. Like, Trump could post an MSNBC article that is like terrible, but that's not a Republican in name only, even though he's like literally telling you that he agrees with Democrats on these topics. But when a Republican does something conservative that disagrees with Trump's liberalism, then that's a rhino. A rhino means you just dislike Trump now. It used to mean you're like a Mitt Romney. You're not even really a Republican. You're just pretending to be. But now rhino is synonymous with anybody who disagrees with Trump, whether they're right or wrong. AP said, fact, if Trump is the nominee, Biden wins re-election. DeSantis is the path to victory. Think with your mind, not your feelings. The thing that I was trying to explain to people earlier too, and this is the point I really want to drive home, is I've seen a lot of the critiques of people that were saying stuff about Trump in 2022. And now in 2023, they're like, we have to get behind him because of the Alvin Bragg thing. He's get persecuted. He's our guy. But it's like all those things we were just talking about, like, he hasn't changed those things. So I agree with you then more than I agree with you now that it's like it is hard to gain enough momentum when you're constantly just like, if you're going to tweet two things within 2 minutes that are exact opposites, either you've lost your mind or you're just trying to piss people off, right? I don't mind Twitter accounts that are edgy. Say this, say that, say this, say that, say this, say that, whatever. You're just the person, disseminating information. Trump's running for the president of the United States. If he's going to post an MSNBC article saying DeSantis didn't mask enough people and then post a tweet that says DeSantis vaccinated more people than, like, he's not even trying to like make a movement where it's like, okay, we're all going to come together. We're all going to do this. We're going to get the votes. And then it's like just talking like wild trash about everybody all the time. And it's like, it's too much. It's not smart. It's not smart to tweet about General Milley after you already hired him and gave him an award. The smart thing to do would have been not hiring him. If you hired him and you made a mistake, talk about it, but then win an election and then do something about it. But he's just always talking and always just saying stuff and doing like the most extreme insane thing saying, and it doesn't matter. It's like if I tweeted Joe Biden deserves to go to Guantanamo Bay, like it doesn't, the pros and cons, it doesn't matter. Like, what is tweeting about it going to do? And especially if you were the president for 4 years, it's embarrassing, because if you're just like a regular citizen, like expressing their opinions about stuff, it's like, okay. But like if you were in charge and you gave the guy an award and now you're freaking out, like it's very goofy and it feels like very planned. Like it's just like, let's just while out, piss everybody off, get the supporters riled up. And it's like, okay. It's like, in January 6th, I kept saying certain things because like, this is how they get you. They say something, say something, say something. And then it's like a call to action that doesn't necessarily make sense, or do this. And people like can't detach from the narrative. So they don't understand. Hold on, I'm gonna read the super chat. Then I'm gonna get back to what I'm saying. $10 from MP says, well, RFK is the only independent candidate who actually has the ability to get people to take an independent candidate seriously and send some shockwaves through the system ever. Maybe he's what we need. Here's what I think personally. RFK has no chance of winning. He's not going to win. He's only going to affect the election one way or the other. Either he's going to sabotage Biden or Trump. He thinks he's going to sabotage Trump, and he said that. So that's what he himself thinks. With that being said, it's up to Trump to get those votes. You can't just demand those votes. If people don't like you, they don't like you. Like if RFK is crushing this topic and Trump is terrible on the topic, he has to actually be authentic again to get those votes back, and he's not doing that. So it doesn't. I don't care if you vote for Trump or RFK, but if you're a Trump voter thinking a bunch of RFK voters are going to vote for your guy when he's full of crap on the topic they care about the most, you're not. DeSantis has a way better chance of getting those votes because he shows proof. If he went side to side with RFK, he could be like, listen, I hired Joseph Ladapo, the Surgeon General. I've been fighting pharmaceutical corruption. DeSantis put together a grand jury investigation of the COVID vaccine. Like DeSantis has done things against big pharma. Trump doesn't. So he can't beat RFK on that topic because all he does is say, I'm so proud of my vaccine. I saved 100 million lives. Like he's an idiot. He's a complete idiot. But nobody cares. They're like, let's just blow the election. It's like, if you want to get those votes, get them. But you got to get your guy to actually be a good leader. When Trump was a good leader and had all these promises of this and that and drain the swamp, people voted for him and he won the election. Yes, I understand he got more votes than he did in 2016. But here's what people won't tell you. It was a lockdown election. In a lockdown election, there's going to be more votes on both sides. That's just the truth. Everybody's locked down, mass mail-in ballots. No one can go anywhere. Millions of people that would have been traveling and busy with work, they can't work because they're not allowed to work and they're all stuck at home. So the election was always going to get more votes for both people. It's not like, oh, I got more votes in 2020 and 2016. Duh, because the whole country was locked in the country and nobody could even leave the country. You don't think millions of Americans would have been in Europe or Australia on business trips and stuff, but now they're all stuck at home and now all the people who don't vote are being told to vote and they got a mass mail-in ballot. Yeah, of course you got more votes, but that's not really as impressive as people think because of the lockdown. But long story short, it's like you won when you were promising something and doing it. You're losing when you do it this other way, but whatever. In general, I wanted to say something, but I forgot. Whatever. If I don't remember it, then I guess it wasn't meant to be. Someone said, so in retrospect, was Warp Speed unforgivable? I think that God forgives everyone. And if God forgives everyone, then I could forgive everyone. But in general, maybe he doesn't forgive everyone, but anyone who deserves it and repents. But long story short, I would forgive Trump for that. But this is what people don't understand. They look at Trump and they say, oh, he just messed up on that. That's your fake theory. In reality, he's proud of it. You want to think he just got fooled, but he keeps telling you he's proud of it. So it's like, is it beyond repentance? Absolutely not. But he doesn't repent. He doesn't say he's sorry. He leans into it. So if Trump said that was an error, I would love it. I would vote for him. If he said, I did what I knew at the time, but now I realized that it wasn't what I thought it was, then it's fine. Like everybody who sold the vaccine, a lot of people are like, okay, it's not quite the product we thought it was. They don't even have to go the distance that anyone else goes. They just have to say, it's not quite what I thought it was. Trump doesn't do that. He's the ultimate con artist and gaslighter. He's the ultimate demon on this topic. He goes, my vaccine saved 100 million lives because a Democrat friend told me to. My Democrat friend told me it saved 100 million lives, and he's a really smart guy. So it's not like I'm not forgiving Trump. He's not asking for forgiveness. He's pathologically lying about the topic. I would vote for him and forgive him in a second if he proved to me he's changed, but everybody just wants to believe he changed because they want to beat up the deep state with their freaking Trumpy, plushie. It's like they're watching like an anime show. They think he's Goku or something. He's going to like fight Vegeta in the final segment. And in reality, he's not that guy. He's on stage being like, I'm not that guy. I'm going to tell you what my Democrat friends are telling you. And you're like, he's that guy. Anomaly, do you forgive him? Forgive him for what? He's not sorry. No, yeah, I would absolutely forgive him. I would absolutely look past it, but he's the same guy. He's closer to Gavin Newsom than he's ever been. He's closer to Lindsey Graham than he's ever been. He pathologically lies about his COVID vaccine when even Ben Shapiro doesn't do that. You know you've fallen far when Ben Shapiro makes more sense than you and Ben Shapiro is more trustworthy than you. There's few people in conservative media that I trust less than Ben Shapiro. And I don't hate him. I'm not saying he's the least trustworthy person or anything. He's a nice guy. He's got his takes, but I'm not personally a big fan. But I don't hate Ben Shapiro. It is what it is. We just disagree on certain topics. With that being said, Ben Shapiro has told more truth about the COVID vaccine than Donald Trump. That's embarrassing. Donald Trump has fallen farther than Ben Shapiro. So why would I vote for a guy like you want him to be different, but he's not different? You want him to have a different idea of his COVID vaccine and what he did during that, but he doesn't. So it's like, you get what I'm saying? This is why he's going to lose a lot of votes to RFK. If you want Trump to win the election and you want Trump to crush it, you got to tell him to stop. Someone said he stood up for Christie. He not only stood up for Chris Christie, the whole Chris Christie's fat. It's all just like theater, kabuki theater for naive Trump supporters. I'm just being honest. He called Chris Christie fat in 2015 too, and he still tried to hire Chris Christie for chief of staff, and he hired his FBI director. It was a Chris Christie guy that Chris Christie told him to. And Trump admitted he hired Christopher Wray because Chris Christie told him to. So this, Chris Christie's fat. It's like this. It's like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but Trump supporters are acting like cattle now, and they don't even pay attention. Like, ha. It's theater. It's theater for the Trump cattle to be like, oh, he's fighting Chris Christie. Guys, he did the same comedy shtick in 2015. Chris Christie's fat. And then he tried to hire him and picked one of his most important deep state positions because Chris Christie told him to. But Chris, you're saying it's not a mistake. He doesn't care. He didn't get fooled. You got fooled. His base got fooled. His supporters got fooled. They keep saying he's a fool. He's a fool. You're the fool. He didn't get fooled a million times. He's not lying about it and not caring because he cares. He doesn't care. He's telling you on stage so many times, I don't give a shit. And people are like, yeah, we're going to beat up the deep state. Yeah. It's like, you're not. You know what I'm saying? It's all fake. So it's like, it's fine. I guess if you want to run the opposition movement into the ground, then do it. But just stop acting like you're helping anybody. You're not saving America. You're not saving the world. You're not living in a fantasy movie. It's all fake. Any logical person can see in 2015, Trump called Chris Christie fat and made fun of him. In his cabinet, he picked his FBI director. It was an attorney who worked with Chris Christie, and Trump admitted that Chris Christie told him to. So if you're not smart enough to realize Trump calling Chris Christie fat doesn't mean anything because there's already evidence of him doing that and then hiring somebody and listening to someone and being proud of taking Chris Christie's advice and saying he's fine with that, then you're too stupid to get a good leader. Yes, I agree. This is what Republicans want. But stop acting like it's just the Democrats' fault then, because you want failure. You want to be deceived. You get mad when it's right there for you to get it. Him calling Chris Christie logically and realistically doesn't mean anything because he's already done that. And then he's already admitted that he's proud of hiring somebody because Chris Christie told him to, and he listens to Chris Christie a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. He said that in 2023. So if you can't put those two together and you're drooling at the mouth on Twitter, like he called Chris Christie fat, that's my guy, then you don't just what's going on? It's like people in San Francisco that are like, crime doesn't exist. And then they get their car jacked. It's like, yeah, that's what happens when you lie to yourself so much. Like you lying about it and like drooling over it. It's like, it doesn't change it. It's so obvious at this point. It's like season 15 of Game of Thrones when all the characters make no sense and they're not even speaking right. And SpongeBob season 30, all the voice actors left and like Squidward sounds like an alien and it's not even funny anymore. And everyone's like, this is still the same. It's not the same. The first couple seasons of SpongeBob, fire, okay? Great plots, great characters, great stories. Season 20 of SpongeBob, it sucks. All the voice actors, it looks like insane. And you guys are trying to act like it's the same thing. It's not. It's clearly not. Let me see. Someone said, without the black vote, nobody winning anything. DeSantis is barely beating Andrew Gillum. DeSantis ran back that election after he got in office and won by like 10 points. So, he's already expanded on that lead in Florida. It's not like black people disappeared in Florida. he won the last election by a massive majority. And DeSantis won over a huge Hispanic population and won over Miami, which is extremely important because there's more Hispanic people than black people. And I'm not saying you're not important or black people aren't important. Everyone's important, but it's like, you know, that demographic was still in Florida when DeSantis won, and he won over another demographic, women. DeSantis does way better than Donald Trump. And it's like a speaking thing. I know multiple women that won't vote for Donald Trump. They have somewhat of Trump derangement syndrome, but they would vote for Ron DeSantis. They just don't like Donald Trump. They don't like how he talks. They don't like how he acts. They don't like his crazy tweets. Like, here's an example. When it comes to Nikki Haley, I don't like Nikki Haley. I don't trust Nikki Haley. I'm not a fan of Nikki Haley. I don't think she would be a good leader. But listen to how I talk about her. I try, like, she's a woman, and I'm not going to be like, oh, believe all women. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to lash out like a psychopath at everybody you don't like all the time. You know what I'm saying? Bird brain traitor. Blah, blah. He's like a clown. He's like a big circus clown. And when he talks now, it doesn't even sound real. It just sounds like somebody like, it's like overly embellished. It's all like theater, you know. It's not a good way to like pick up votes. It's better to be a little bit graceful if you can, you know. But especially if you're like running for president. Let me see. Someone said the hood vote matters anomaly. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm just saying it's a portion of the votes. But I'm just saying DeSantis won Florida by a bigger margin than the Gillum thing recently, and there's still black people in Florida. And winning over other demographics also matters. Someone said we could hear your pain. Not in pain. Am I one of those women? Ha 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 ha. I'm not believe me, I'm a woman. No. Good joke though. Just kidding. I don't like Donald Trump anymore. I'm voting for Robert Kennedy because he didn't talk to Nikki Haley. Good. People do think that though. My soul is not hurting. My soul would be hurting if I took $1 million from Pfizer like Donald Trump. Then my soul would be hurting. My soul would be hurting if I endorsed Mitt Romney like Donald Trump. I never did that. My soul would be hurting if I got hundreds of millions of dollars from corporations and mega donors after I told my base that I'd never take anyone's money. Then my soul would be hurting. My soul would be hurting if I said that the COVID vaccine saved 100 million lives because my Democrat friend told me to. Trump's soul is hurting. My soul feels fine. My feelings aren't hurt. My soul's not hurt. I'm good. Trump, on the other hand, your idol that you think is like above God, you're going to crash and burn because anybody that pathologically lies and deceives that much, it's not good. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's flawed. Everybody has sin. I would vote for Donald Trump if he told the truth like he used to. But if he's going to run around pathologically lying about the most important topic in recent history and his supporters are just going to try to gaslight me into thinking it didn't happen, that's a soulless movement. But anyway, real quick while I'm there, I got 500 plus black beanies, guys. These are blue beanies. They're thick. They stretch. They're easy to fit. If you like beanies that are tight on your head, then this is not for you. If you like a beanie that kind of is a little stretchy and doesn't hurt your head and is very warm, insulated, this is the beanie made in America, dreamwear.com. People love the sweatshirts so much, folks. We got them back. God is Gray sweatshirts. A lot of people were telling me it's the most comfortable sweatshirt they own. So I bought more, limited time only for the winter. Dreamwear.com, link in the bio. I feel like it might get a little crazy. So, you know, I got to find other streams of revenue in case Mark Zuckerberg tries to take my revenue again. They seem like they do that every election. Every time the election comes up, they steal the money and they like shut it down and they censor you. And then after the election, it like magically disappears. I know what they're doing. They're algorithmically manipulating the election every year, all the time. So that's why they're mad at Elon. He's not going to do that. Someone said Anomaly gave up rapping for this. I didn't give up. I've actually had more success since I've been doing this, but no, I didn't like give up. I had a passion to, even in my rap, if you listen to some of my rap from 2008, 2009, 2010, when I was like 19 years old, I was passionate. I was also a degenerate. I said stupid stuff because I was 19 years old, but I always had soul and I always had a message. I was always trying to speak the truth. That was like, I never rapped because I was like, oh, I want cars and clothes. I thought that was stupid. I always felt like I had a message that I had to tell people. So, you know, once I realized I could just talk, I was like, oh, this is fine. It's not like I gave up. I've done bigger shows recently than I've ever done in my life. So someone said Anomaly's always feeding the trolls. You know, they need to eat too. You got to feed everybody out here. Like a good man feeds the community. So I'm trying to feed the trolls, feed the lovers, feed the fans, feed the supporters, feed the moms. We love moms, grandmas, you know what I'm saying? Great grandmas. Believe all women. We only believe women who like the show. Every other woman is pathologically subverting. No, I'm just kidding. Let me see. Someone said Knucklebuster is the kind of guy who kicks over lemonade stands. Do people do that? That's really dark. You know, you just knock over a kid's lemonade stand. Hey, mister, you want $1 lemonade? You just kick it over. You're like, screw you and your lemonade stand, lady. Starts crying, running back. I've never seen that, but that's dark. There's some real demons out there. Hey, sir, do you want your lemonade? Hell no. Get the hell off my street, kid. Someone said, I like Anomaly's laid-back music when he collabs with Venice Beach Dub Club. He doesn't have a powerful voice for political music. All right, well, I guess I should just quit political music. My song Come Together about politics has like 2.5 million streams, but I guess that's not good. I'll go back to the drawing board. Let's see. Why are your viewing numbers so low? The chats used to be flying. I think there's multiple reasons for it. You know, I'm not going to make excuses, but things kind of evolve too. Like if I put out an Instagram reel, like some of the reels I did recently got 3 million views, 4 million views, thousands of comments, thousands of followers. And then live streams on YouTube, you know, sometimes they get a lot of views, sometimes they don't. Facebook definitely took away the notification for a lot of people, but I can't really complain. Like I did a Facebook and a YouTube live the other week, and I got like 300,000 views, 350,000 views on it. And then some of them get like 30, 40,000 views on Facebook. So I don't know. Someone said he fell off. Not really though. It's just things evolve. And you know what? I'm going to plug this because it's not even out yet, but I'm writing a marketing course because from the time I was young, I'm just going to go on a little rant, but even if you run a business or you're an entrepreneur, I think there's something you could gain from this. So hopefully, you know, it helps. When I started rapping, I'm very self-aware, right? Nobody cares about me. I think that was like the most valuable thing. I didn't have an inflated ego. I wasn't like, everybody loves me. I was always self-aware. I'm like, no one gives a shit about me. I'm white. I got weird hair. You know what I'm saying? Like who wants to listen to me rap? I got to be really good and I really got to get myself out there and crush it so hard that people respect me. So I did that from a young age, but I got 1 million views in under a year rapping because I was self-aware. I was like, no one cares about me. I'm not going to try to be a campus hero. I was in college. I was like, I want to get to the world. You know what I'm saying? I want my message to get to the world. So I went on YouTube and I figured out how to get 1 million views in a year. Yes, I had talent. Yes, I was good, but also I was good at marketing because if you're great and it just sits in your house, it's not going to get anywhere. But if you're great and you combine it with marketing, you can get out. So I marketed myself well. I got millions of views by the time I was 21, 22. I had label meetings. They were flying me. They were bringing me to New York. I was talking to top level people. They were interested in making me into like a little puppet. And I never did it because I have a strong soul. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it that way. Long story short, you know, my career has gone, I've lost everything to the point of like, I went from being like famous online or whatever, but not really that famous to the point where I was like, you know, people knew who I was to getting like 100, 200 views on a video. And like, I really fell off when there was no Facebook videos. There was only YouTube and like no one cared about me. So it's like, I had everything going for me. I dropped out of school. I started pursuing my career and I watched myself go from getting 10,000, 20,000 views a video, which was a lot back then, to like barely anything. And I always believed in myself. I worked, I paid off my loans. You know what I'm saying? I had real jobs and stuff. And then, you know, fast forward with what I do now, I figured out a way to get 10 million views, 100 million views, eventually 1 billion views. I have almost 500,000 followers on Instagram. I have 1.6 or 1.7 million on Facebook. I have hundreds of thousands on YouTube. I had hundreds of thousands on TikTok before they deleted me. I'm doing well on Rumble. I get thousands of views there. I've gotten probably 100 plus million views just on Instagram alone. So long story short, a lot of this, yes, there's a reason. I think I'm authentic. I think I'm good at what I do. I think I'm honest. I try to be engaging, but my marketing is a huge core of why it does well. So I'm trying to make a whole course to explain to people how to organically market yourself without having to pay a lot of money. And if you know the principles of it, it'll work in any climate because it's just like basic psychology. But long story short, at this point, I don't want to be more famous. I'd rather have more money than more fame. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't really want a lot of views. I'd rather get more money and no views than a bunch of views and no money. Like, at this point in my life, I've already gotten 1 billion views. I've gotten my message there. I'm still going to. So if I go from getting like, a couple thousand live viewers to like 1,000 viewers or less, like I have 580 now between the two, that's lower than it used to be. But also, you have to understand that I'm not just a professional victim where everybody says, I'm shadow banned, I'm shadow banned, I'm shadow banned. I'm accurate. I'll tell you when they take my money. I'll be honest. I'll be like, yo, they just demonetized me and they took 60% of my revenue. And now I'm going to ask for more help or whatever. I'm going to ask for more Patreon people because I just lost a shitload. And if I'm doing well, you don't even hear me say that much because I'm fine. I don't need anything. But long story short, I don't just say I'm always being like persecuted. With these numbers, I'll be honest, most of my income and most of my audience is on Facebook. And I used to get 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 live viewers, 8,000, 5,000, 4,000, whatever. And then I remember one time I did a live stream and it was about mandates on airplanes or whatever. And then the next day I had 10,000 viewers on Facebook. It was more than I've ever had. And I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. And then the next day they took away my live streaming. I couldn't live stream for a week in the middle of the pandemic and they demonetized me. And I was like, fuck, excuse my language. I was like, I was crushing and they stole everything and they ruined all my momentum and and I was like, what the hell? So when that happens, it happens. And there are times that I do think that they've taken things from me. But with Facebook now, they don't notify people as much as they used to. So what I've noticed is I used to have 3,000, 4,000 live viewers, and that was great. And I'd get like a lot of views, but they wouldn't even really pay me like money. Like it was like they would demonetize it for 90% of the time. They'd throw it on and I wouldn't even barely get any money. And like the views were like the engagement was cool. But long story short, now they kind of do the opposite. It's like now they actually monetize it quicker. I have less people in my lives because they don't show as many people. Like they're phasing out the live streams for the Instagram Reels and the Facebook Reels. So they're purposely lowering the numbers, not just to go after me, but they've determined that if you do Reels and other stuff like that, that you're going to stay on the website more. And everybody's doing algorithms. It's like, if we can keep you on the website as long as possible, we're going to do it. And with the live streams, they're kind of like not pushing live streams that much. But long story short, if I do a live stream and 500 people watch live, but then at the end of it, I have 100,000 views or 70,000 views, and that's how many views I had anyway, it doesn't really matter. So it's like I said, my live stream last week, one of my big ones, or 2 weeks ago, I got 300,000 views on a Facebook live stream. So it's like, if there's not a lot of people watching live, but 300,000 people see it afterwards and it gets thousands of shares, I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. YouTube, they've been like, if you search anomaly on YouTube, sometimes you can't even find my videos. I'm not playing the victim, but they shadow ban me. I don't believe they're letting my audience grow, but I just don't care. It's like, if you want to play that game, that's fine. I can make an Instagram reel if I want attention and get thousands of comments and, you know what I'm saying, get 1 million people to see it. So everything evolves and changes. It's not always just shadow banning. Sometimes you have to realize, if you're live streaming for 5 years and your live stream numbers go down, maybe you lost your audience. Maybe people don't pay attention. Maybe there's a reason for it, but also maybe they're phasing live streams out. Like if you post the same way you posted on Instagram 5 years ago, it doesn't work the same way. I could tell you what works on Instagram now, and it's not what worked a year ago. So if you're constantly doing the same thing, you can't play the victim. Oh, I'm not getting as many views. It's like, well, it's not, they're not pushing it in the algorithm. Instagram's not the same it was 2 years ago. Facebook isn't the same it was 2 years ago. Nothing's the same it was 2 years ago. YouTube is way different than it was 10 years ago. So long story short, there's going to be some fake, algorithm persecution, but for the most part, you have to evolve and adapt. And I like doing live streams. It makes sense for me. I'm doing podcasts now. I chop up clips. They monetize my Facebook and YouTube. They take all my monetization on Instagram. They deleted my TikTok. So I don't really have a lot of inspiration to do Instagram and TikTok. They deleted my TikTok. I spend all this time on a reel. I don't feel like doing it. It's not as fun for me. It's more, I would say, enjoyable for me to be live and do these shows. I'm not like a huge fan of recording, editing, putting it out. That's not really fun. I actually have fun doing these. I enjoy it. So I strategically kind of do what works and do what I think makes sense and what I'm going for. And yeah, I don't think my views aren't really hurting that much. Like people can say, oh, Anomaly fell off, Anomaly's so bad. Guys, compare me to Tim Pool on Instagram or someone else. Tim Pool's got the biggest podcast, right? He's like massive. But on Instagram, he doesn't really post that much. Nobody really cares, you know? And he probably doesn't post that much because you don't make that much money posting on Instagram. So even if you have a big audience, it doesn't make sense. But if I post on Instagram, I could get thousands of comments, celebrities and athletes in my comment section following me, 5 million, 6 million views, you know? I could do that at any moment that I start making reels. I just don't care that much. If I cared about fame and attention, I'd just be popping out Instagram reels, getting 6 million views a week. I just don't give a shit. I don't want more people to look at me. I've had enough people look at me. People say hi to me in the streets and stuff. It's cool. I'm glad. I'm grateful. But it's like, if I really desperately wanted attention, I'd run for office and suck up your money with donations. I don't care. I have certain times where I'm trying to do certain things. And right now it makes sense for me to do Facebook and YouTube, but YouTube has been pretty stagnant. My Facebook has grown. I would say that my live streams have less concurrent viewers in it, but when it's all said and done in 2 days, after the algorithm pushes it, I have almost the equivalent of exactly what I had a year or two ago. And I do think that Facebook and YouTube make it hard to grow because, I think if they don't like you, they're trying to artificially block you. Like on Twitter, they say freedom of speech isn't freedom of reach. What does that mean? It means if you organically get bigger than the elites do, they look at you and say you're doing hate speech, and they try to get Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg to stop you from beating them. So they really do that. My Rumble page is not like that. It's grown every month. My podcast is not like that. It's grown every month. Everything that's not completely like rigged grows all the time, and Facebook and YouTube kind of stay the same. But I don't complain about it that much because I don't care. If I really cared, I'd be like, why isn't anyone listening to me? Let me do something crazy and edgy. I know how to get 2,000 live viewers. I know how to get 3,000 live viewers, even with my numbers now. I just don't care that much. Some days I know it's going to be unpopular, and I'm like, I want to do it. I understand if I really want to do a video that gets millions of views, which sometimes I do, I take my time and make it very convincing, quick, short, like I used to. But it's hard to take that much time and take that much energy when, it doesn't work like it used to. And, at a certain point, I kept making those box videos on Facebook. I would make those box videos. Every video I got, million views. I was getting a million views on everything I did every time. People don't even know this on YouTube, but if you follow me on Facebook, it's like I had videos, they're getting 100,000 shares. It has 1 million views and 100,000 shares. That means 1 out of every 10 people that watched it shared it. I mean, my engagement, and I'm not just bragging, I'm just saying for historical reasons, my engagement is like world class. I deserve an award, but they give Pulitzers and Nobel Prizes to weirdos and liars, so I'm never going to get that. But like, I've killed it. You know what I'm saying? For what I've done with myself, with very little, virtually no help editing everything. Like, I've done astronomical world-class achievements that is mind-blowing, and I've done that, but I just, I don't make those type of videos anymore because it just didn't make sense. Because I would do them and I'd put them on Instagram and I'd put them on Facebook and I'd put it on YouTube and they'd be square and it'd get 3 million views, 2 million views, whatever. But then it was like Instagram did reels, and then those videos went from 300,000 views to 50,000 views and nobody was watching them. And I'm not a victim. They just pushed Instagram reels. Those videos weren't popular anymore. People wanted shorter content. Okay. Then they pushed Facebook reels and YouTube shorts. And it's like, okay, people don't want that content anymore. They want this stuff. And then podcasting came big. And I made a decision. I was like, okay, maybe I'll get into podcasting. It seems like they censor less, and I'll do longer form stuff. I'll chop it into clips and I'll do this show. And I started doing it. I like it. It's not the most shareable content, but sometimes now when I do short stuff, people watch it less because they want the longer stuff. I'm figuring out as I go, but in 6 months, I might go back to doing short, little quick content that's like more believable and or like not believable, but like convincing, etc. But I'm always just analyzing what works, what doesn't work, and then I do it. But also this year, what I've been doing is I'm like, I want to be happy, right? I don't want to just be a workhorse. In 2020, I was a workhorse. I was just like I was working every day, all the time, 10 hours a day. I killed it, and I did well for myself because I worked at an unsustainable pace. Now I'm like, I don't want to beat myself up doing too much just because if you guys notice, I do a show every day. To do this show, I did all the screenshots, all the videos, all that you saw, the stuff I played. It takes me an hour or so at least to do all that, make the thumbnail, do this. Then I do the show. Then I promote it. Then I push it. Then I post it on Instagram. It's a lot. And what I used to do took even more time than what I do. So I got to the point this time. It's like, could I do this and get more views? Sure. Could I do this and get more money? Sure. But I want to be happy with what I do. So I want to do it for longer because that's a better plan than just like overworking myself to the point where I don't even want to do it anymore. So, you know, a lot of the choices I do, like I'll go live on Instagram for 2 hours and I get like nothing. Sometimes I get $0. Sometimes people give me a few like badges or whatever. But I like to do Instagram lives. I enjoy Instagram lives because I don't prepare myself and I just kind of kick it. Facebook and YouTube lives, I am prepared. I'm very prepared, but I also enjoy it and it's fun. And then I talk to people at the end and I have a good time. So it's like, you know, I like Facebook and YouTube lives and I like Instagram lives even more. And those are not necessarily always the most profitable things, but I want to have fun. I like enjoying my life, not just being like a miserable workhorse and just banging out videos. That's no fun. Stephanie said, you're a self-made, fantastic entrepreneur and political analyst. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Stephanie. That was very nice. I read the rest of your comments too. Super nice. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm working on like a marketing course and it's not like a scammy one, but I'm passionate about marketing also and helping people in the sense of like, I know what I did. And I want to explain, if you understand why, you could do it even when Facebook changes, because there's always a reason why. Why does this work? It's like if you just say, I said, go do that and you do it, you could do it and have success. But then when they change the algorithm, it's like, well, now that doesn't work anymore. What do I do? But if you explain to people why it happens, then, you know, it's even better. So that's fun for me. I'm actually going to get that done this year because my friend's going to come out, film it, and I'm going to probably give him a cut of it just so I get it done because I'm like not getting it done. Like I've been saying, my book, everyone's like, when's it coming? When's the music? I'm like, I don't know. I'm running in circles. But long story short, yeah, I'm definitely good at marketing myself and like, you know, unbiasedly, I know it's going to sound biased. The things I've done on Facebook are incredible. Like I've had like 1 million shares, 500,000, like so many times. I think I've gotten like 900 million views or something on Facebook. I don't know. I can't even count anymore. The analytics like broke and they don't go back that far anymore. But like I've had over billions of minutes watched of my videos like when I was during the pandemic, I was like getting as like 100,000 shares, 50,000 shares, 70,000 shares, 80,000 shares. And people be like, oh, well, Facebook, the views aren't real. The shares are real. If it has 1 million views and 100,000 shares, that means 1 out of every 10 person who watched it shared it. That's incredible. No one can do that. And that's why when I get into business deals and people try to short me and say like, oh, this and that, it's like, yo, my Facebook page is more popping. My engagement's real. I don't run ads. I run $0 in ads. If you see me put up an Instagram reel and it's got 3,000 comments or 3,500 comments and 3 million views, I didn't pay $1 for that. And none of the celebrities or influencers commenting, I didn't pay them. I'm not in a group where we're like, they do that. You know, a lot of influencers, they go in these groups and they all post on each other's comments to try to scam advertisers to be like, look at all the influencers in my comment section. So then they pay them a lot of money thinking that they actually have a reach, but it's really just like a circle jerk of influencers. That's a common thing. Mine's real. All that's real. 0 ads. You know what I'm saying? You look at a Facebook post where I got 10,000 comments and 100,000 shares. It's real. $0 in ads. Never pay. Like I'm not paying for that stuff. You get what I'm saying? Instagram, same thing. It's not pride. I'm explaining to people what I'm doing. I want to historically push this at certain points. So it's there. It's there for historical records. Because I'll tell you what, nobody's going to tell my story. Other podcasters will not tell my story. The mainstream media won't tell my story. Republican media won't tell my story. So I'm telling my story to have historical reference from it. Because if you read about me in 30, 40, 50 years, they're going to say I was an anti-Semite. They're going to say I was a xenophobe. They're going to say I was a fascist, even though I'm completely against that. You know, you get what I'm saying? They're going to say all these things about me, and that's going to be what lasts. So I want there to be historical record of what I really did and what I really accomplished, not out of pride, but you know, if they wrote a bunch of articles about everything I did, I'd never talk about it, but they've never done that. Every time they write an article about me, they lie about me. They say I have Trump derangement syndrome. They say I hate this country when I don't. They say that, you know, and it's fine. It's just like, this is who I really am. This is what I really accomplished. It's a truly incredible story that no one gives a shit about, which is fine. It's just like, I don't want people to read about me and who I was in 50 years and have no counter argument to it. It's like, no, that's not who he was at all. Look at his videos. Look what he said. He doesn't hate people. It's like they're running these stories. And then like my last 3 Instagram reels have nothing to do with what they're talking about. Like someone said history will lie about all of us. I'm sure it will. The victors win history. And I mean, you just have to look at the present moment to just wonder how much they lied about history, because like, look what they're saying now. If they're trying to gaslight you on your own present moment, what do you think they did with history? Of course they did that. But, there's certain ways you can say that and there's certain ways you can't say that. So, it's like I'm more of a present moment guy. The future and the past is just what it is. But, if they're trying to, every media company, every sports league besides the UFC, like everybody's trying to gaslight me into thinking that like 1 + 1 is 3, and I'm here to witness it. So if they're trying that hard to distort what I'm living through and seeing, who knows what they're like? What is the history book going to say about COVID? What's the history book going to say about Fauci? What's the history book going to say about Trump? They're not going to tell the truth about Trump. They're not going to tell the truth about the pandemic. The history book's going to say Trump was a fascist dictator and the only thing he did good was the COVID shot. That was amazing, but everything else was bad. They're going to say Fauci was an icon and, deserves 15 Nobel Peace Prizes. They're going to say Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say Trump was a dictator. Trump was a racist. The only good thing Trump ever did was the COVID vaccine, but he still killed everybody with COVID. It's like, that's going to be what kids read in 20 years, unless something changes. We'll see. I would love to get a copy of a history book in 5 years and see how they talked about the pandemic. Lockdowns are good. We kept everyone in their house like slaves, but it was amazing. And actual slavery was border security. Like they're gonna try to play that game for sure. Is what it is. Let me see. Someone said hit the nail on the head. Wait, hit the nail on the TED? Slow down there now. Hit the nail on the head. Sorry. Fall of Rome, fall of America. Dude, I said it yesterday, but that MSNBC article that Trump shared, it was so deranged that it said that DeSantis was worse than Nero of Rome because Nero of Rome just watched Rome burn, but DeSantis burned his state down with like COVID failure because he didn't push masks enough. And Trump's sharing this. He's like, I'm totally not a rhino. I'm totally one of you patriots. And people are like, MAGA, MSNBC, MAGA. It's like MSNBC and CNN probably want Trump back. Trump and CNN, they have like this weird relationship. He shares their articles. He goes there. They hate him, but it gets a lot of clicks. Like, I think they want him back because he creates this world that they could profit in. And he likes MSNBC and CNN, even though they hate him, more than he likes like Megyn Kelly. It's like if Megyn Kelly criticizes him accurately, he's embarrassed. But when he fights with Democrats, he enjoys it. It's like this weird fetish they both have. It's like they're both benefiting from each other. Yeah, he was amazing for their ratings for sure. Someone said, I will say this. I do respect the fact that you allow people to have freedom of speech. Well, thank you, Knucklebuster. I appreciate that, buddy. I give you the spotlight even when you talk shit about me. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not, but I still allow it. And I don't read it just to feed the trolls, although I know you're hungry. I don't even consider you a troll. You're just a person who doesn't agree with me, and that's fine. I'm self-aware. I know what I'm saying sometimes not popular. I know people aren't going to agree with it. As long as you could be lighthearted about it, Knucklebuster, you'll get along here. As long as you're not acting crazy, like F you, then it's like, all right, bro, chill. You know what I'm saying? It's like, chill out, dude. Or if you're like freaking out, if you can just like calmly make fun of me. Someone said I'm no troll. I just said you're not a troll. You're just a guy who doesn't agree with me. That's fine. As long as you could calmly make fun of me and have it be somewhat funny, it's okay. Even if you calmly make fun of me and it's not funny, I also don't care. It's just when people act like psychotic or, that's like a little weird. Even if they agree with me, I mean, it's also weird. So, I'm not saying you do it. Now you're getting like super defensive. It's cool, bro. We're cool. All right. You don't have to agree. You can say stuff. I don't even remember what you're saying. Maybe someone else said I'm a woman or something, which is also fine. It's okay to call me a woman because in this day and age, you shouldn't assume my gender. Everyone could be transgenders. That's my new theory. Everyone's a tranny. Everybody, including you. You are. Oh. No, I'm just kidding. Wait, no, not me. I'm like, no, that's my new theory. The Earth is a transgender activist. It's not flat or round. The Earth is transgender. What? No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, where were we? Let's get back to the show. 148. All right. Someone said I don't make homosexual digs. That wasn't me. It was someone else. I got confused. I'm sorry. It's okay. I don't really care. It's not like, it's not the worst thing anyone said. Like, oh, you're gay. Am I? And it's like, I'm not. So it's okay. It's not like that. It's like when, someone in the UFC said FA blank blank OT. I don't want to say it because it's like against hate speech policies. I know Mark Zuckerberg's going to try to choke me out. Jiu-jitsu Mark, he's like a green belt or something now. He knows jiu-jitsu. But anyway, when people say the F word that's hateful to like homosexuals, it's I don't think it really is hateful. Like, they're like, oh, you hate it. It's like, just because you say that word, it doesn't mean you like hate everyone. It's not like a gay slur. Like, does it, I don't know. Is it really like that bad? Like literally someone says it and then like nothing happens and no one cares. It's not like alarms go off in like San Francisco and West Hollywood. They're like, someone said the F word, wee, and all like the gay people are like, they're coming. It's like no one cares. Like half the people who laugh at the joke don't even think they're talking about you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a word. It's not like a hate speech word where they're coming after you. Like people that get so upset, it's just kind of like weird. They're like, oh, the gay homophobic slur that was used. And you're like, what? Oh, that? You're like, he literally just said a word to a guy that wasn't gay for 5 seconds, and then everyone forgot about it like an hour later, and nobody thought to even persecute homosexuals when that word was said. Like it was like just a thing, But then they're like, that's not what happened. You need to apologize. It's like, okay, if that's how we're going to perceive it now. Like if someone said I look like a woman or something, it's not going to like, it's like, okay, let's move on. Someone said I thought they were cigarettes. Well, I think they are cigarettes in England. They say I'm just smoking. Can I even say it? They're gonna say I like hate the whole LGBTQ plus QXR Justin Trudeau world. It's not what is it? LGBTQ IAA plus exclamation point. I believe it's LGBTQ plus AAQQ QAnon Justin Trudeau. You got to put Justin Trudeau at the end of it. Like you just spell it out and you're like LGBTQ plus AA, whatever it is, just add Justin Trudeau in all caps at the end of it. And we should go with that from now on. Let me look up what it really is. So then we could start this trend. Let me see. LGBTQ. Okay. Wait, are there two? Okay. I got it. Hold on a second, folks. LGBTQIA2S plus. So now it's officially it's the acronym stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, intersex, asexual, and two-spirit. Oh my Lord. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning. I'm just questioning things. Okay. Intersex. I'm into myself. Asexual. I hate myself. Two-spirited. There's two of me. I don't know if any of that's true, but anyway, the new acronym that we're rolling out to be even more inclusive is LGBTQIA2S plus JUSTIN Trudeau. So it's LGBTQIAS2 plus Justin Trudeau. And now that's more inclusive because like everybody was included except for him and he feels left out. And that's why he's not a racist. A lot of people say, oh, Justin Trudeau's a racist. He's not a racist. He wears blackface because he feels left out of the acronym. So in order to stop Justin Trudeau from wearing blackface and being pseudo-racist, but not really racist, we need to include him in our acronym. Okay? Here, I'm going to tweet it out. Oh, no, actually, never mind. I don't feel like getting written articles about today. It's the weekend. I'll not tweet that out, but maybe I'll tweet it out on Monday. I'm trying to relax this weekend. I don't feel like reading an article about how I hate the whole world. That's not fun. For 48 hours, it's really stressful. And then it's just kind of funny. That's kind of my cycle of like, I get stressed out by it for like 48 hours. And then I'm like, that's kind of funny though. That happened. People are like, yeah, it's pretty funny. Ew, trim your armpits, dude. I'm a man. I'm going to let that shit grow. But no, I do trim them sometimes. Sometimes I don't. I'm a man. I'm a caveman. Captain Gooby. I mean, let's not act like you're a, queer eye for the straight guy here. Like you work at like a hairdresser salon. Your name's Captain Gooby. You sound like you live in a mayonnaise jar under somebody's bed. So let's not let's not be the aesthetics, metrosexual over here, Captain Gooby. You sound like a goop of leftover peanut butter in a mayonnaise jar under somebody's bed with a sock in it. Gross. Let me read a few more. Someone said he's not AI, he's my friend. I'm sure he is. Oh man, it's too good. I'm good. I'm quick on my feet. You guys don't I've been freestyling since I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? I got freestyle. I could freestyle on the spot. I could just rhyme. You know what I'm saying? I got the flow. I'd be a good stand-up comedian, just like trolling, like what are they called when a heckler? Screw you. Just get everybody to laugh at you. You thought, don't interrupt my show again. Everyone you run out and your popcorn's flying everywhere because you don't want to be in the Comedy Store anymore. Yeah, that's me. Someone said, "Mom and Dad, meet my AI girlfriend." That's what. Hey, however you got to please them. Everybody's favorite wrestler shaves their body hair but still respected as masculine. Do what you got to do. Listen, you're watching my show. This is not Fox News. It's not Newsmax. Yeah, this is not when I go to certain big events, they like put makeup on me. It's pretty weird. Like when I was on, I'm trying to think whose show. I want to say, I'm not going to name names. I don't care. But like, they like put makeup on you. They're like, yo, you got to like, and I'm like, do I look that bad? Is my skin that shitty that they got to put makeup on me? Like, they're like just a little bit to make you look like this. I don't know. I'd rather just look shitty than wear makeup personally. Like, are my pores showing or something? Is my color wrong? I don't, you trying to make me dark. I go in with blackface and I'm like, yo, I swear I didn't do this to myself. The makeup person did this to me. And they're like, oh my gosh, he's so racist. I'm like, what did you do to me? You set me up. I didn't, but like, I don't know. Roseanne did not ask me to put makeup on. Me and Roseanne just like drank whiskey. That was tight. And ate dinner. That was cool. But no, like I'm talking like big productions and stuff. Don't ever let them make you wear a dress. They all wear makeup though. If you watch like Fox or something, they're all wearing makeup. That's why they look like so, it is kind of blank. You can't say what it is because they'll say you hate everybody that's that. But you know what I'm saying? It's kind of great. It's kind of great. But you can't say anything anymore. I'm out. Someone said that's how Nixon lost the election. No makeup. I don't think he lost the election. I think he won like all the states and then they kicked him out. There's a lot of interesting stuff on the Nixon tapes. That's all I'll say. Do a deep dive on that. It's very sus. Can I talk about Charlie Kirk's dome, please? No, Charlie Kirk's head is one of the 8 wonders of the world. And it's, there's a basin, there's a Grand Canyon, and it's beautifully proportioned. He's got a beautiful girlfriend or wife, and he's doing great. You get him, Charlie. I'm not going to talk about his head. That's rude. Nixon got beat by Kennedy the first time. Yeah, then he won. Oh, it because he didn't have makeup on and Kennedy had more makeup. Maybe you're right. I'm like historically. Should I look that up? Is that weird? Did Nixon lose because no makeup? Let me see. It was in blackout. Oh, I guess he lost. People are saying that he just like he didn't look good on the debates. Anyway, this is getting too weird. It's not your fault. I just want to go. I want to keep it under 2 hours. God bless you guys. I appreciate it. Just letting you guys know, I got over 100 of these God is Great sweatshirts made in America. Everybody's telling me they're the most comfortable sweatshirts they own. Then I have not that many of these blue beanies. There's not that many left, but the black beanies, I do have a lot. I bought a bunch earlier this year. Made in America. If you have a big head like me, my head's kind of big. I don't like really tight ones. I like ones that like don't hurt my head. You ever put a hat on and it like scrunches your head and it hurts? Like, I don't like that. Like some people like that, or maybe they have smaller heads, but I kept having to like find new hats because I was like, I don't like this thing. But in general, these are cool. If you like these, check them out. If you're into them, blue and black for the winter. Did not change my prices with inflation like everybody else. They're the same as they were last year. Sweatshirts are the same as they were last year. Maybe if you guys piss me off, I'm going to raise the prices. No, I'm just kidding. But check them out. They are very comfy for fall and winter. I appreciate it. God bless you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully I didn't piss too many people off today. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, Stay Blessed long sleeve, God is Great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk. For $5 a month, you can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful. My free email list is stayintouchwithme.com, so check the links below in the description or just type in on any browser stayintouchwithme.com, all one word. You'll find my email list, put it in there, and it's the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. I barely use it because I don't like getting emailed every day or every week. It's annoying, so I don't do it. Stayintouchwithme.com. It helps me take back some power away from big tech. Telegram, t.me/dreamrarechat or @dreamrarechat. Due to censorship, I post all my live stream and videos there. Sometimes I have some bonus content, and I try to give people a heads up when Facebook or YouTube won't. Dreamrare Chat at Telegram. My Instagram is @dreamrare. Thanks for everybody following there for shorter content. And dreamrarelinks.com, that's dreamrarelinks.com, has all my stuff. My podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, my music on Spotify and Apple, my Rumble page, my BitChute and Gab page. All my links are found at dreamrarelinks.com. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless you. You already know I'll be back with more content soon.